They allow sick kids to just be kids for a little while. The support that Starlight provides to families like mine is an integral part to creating happiness at a time when there's very little to be found. Learn more about how Starlight Children's Foundation brightens the lives of sick kids by visiting starlight.org today.
Are you excited about being a new grandmother?
Of course I am. A little intimidated, too.
Why?
Taking care of a baby today is so different than when I had you.
But Mom, you did great with me.
Thanks, son. But I put you on your stomach to sleep.
Right. But now we know that babies should always be placed on their backs to sleep for naps and at night to reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS.
You also slept with blankets and toys in your crib.
True. But now we know to keep everything out of the crib except for my sweet baby girl. No blankets, pillows, or other soft or loose items.
Daddy's going to teach Nana all the ways to keep you safe while you sleep. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
For more tips on safe sleep for babies, visit safetosleep.nicchd.nih.gov. That's safetosleep.nicchd.nih.gov. Sponsored by the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development.
It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus with you. Johnny Hill with me. No Brett Norsworthy today or tomorrow. He's taking a couple personal days. Like Marshawn Lynch said a couple years back, got to take care of your mentals and your chicken. So Brett taking a couple personal days, but he'll be back on Thursday, and we'll have the whole crew back. We've got a busy show for you today, a lot to get to. The Grizzlies were in action last night at home. I said some things yesterday about that game that I regret saying, like I really like the Grizzlies' chances tonight. You know, I know we want them to lose, but I think they can maybe win this game.
Yeah.
They did not do that.
So I was actually glad that they lost.
Well, and we're going to talk a lot about that. I'm glad you brought that up, Johnny, because I want to talk about the Grizzlies, this team, their losing ways, because I've heard some weird things today since that loss last night against the Nets. So we're going to probably spend most of this first segment talking about the Grizzlies and what happened last night. We'll come back to the Grizzlies a little bit later in the hour and talk about just what's going on, road ahead, that sort of thing. Maybe even look at a mock draft while we're at it, since everybody wants to talk about this team getting in position for the draft. We'll probably do that at the end of this hour. But Johnny with me today, like I said, no Brett Norsworthy. Johnny, you doing good today?
Man, I'm doing fantastic,
good.
As normal, you know, Brett, he needs his rest, man. He works extremely hard, so he needs his rest, man. He needs rest. Right. I'm glad to talk to you, though, man.
Absolutely. So last night, the Brooklyn Nets, a 111-86 victory over the Memphis Grizzlies. And what I heard from a lot of people last night, during that game, after that game, is this is the first time in a while that this Grizzlies team didn't try.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of been
the thing. It looked like it too, didn't it?
It did. And that's kind of been the thing this year since the injuries, and we say it all the time. You know, I'm tired of even saying it, but it's like, man, this team has so many injuries, but they're fun to watch because they're going to go out there and fight every night, and you know that, you know, what was the last game against the Clippers?
Yeah.
There should be no way the Clippers, or that the Grizzlies are in a game with the Clippers late. But these guys are fighting. These guys are showing that they are, you know, good enough to be on an NBA roster.
To compete.
We were talking to Michael Cole yesterday, and he said something that I thought was interesting. He said this season has really kind of turned into tryouts for a lot of these guys. Because
it is.
It's kind of like, I understand the like tongue-in-cheek joking of calling this Grizzlies team the Memphis Hustle, because like it's, you know, it's funny. Oh, these guys are, you know, it's a bunch of nobodies, whatever. But like, I I don't love when people say that just because, like, these guys have shown there is a reason why the Grizzlies have called their number and why they are playing in these games, because they can be rotation pieces in the NBA. And so I think, these guys are going to go out there and try their hardest. And because for a lot of these guys, they're looking at this as an opportunity as, okay, well, maybe if, I'll use Trey Jemison as an example. I really like Trey Jemison.
Me too.
I like what he's brought to the table, and he's played well. Now you're kind of in a weird situation with him because you don't want to pull. He only has like so many games left that he can play on his two-way in the NBA before he can't play anymore. So you're kind of trying to spread it out and play him certain games. But Trey Jemison's a guy that comes out of college, doesn't get a lot of interest from NBA teams, and goes to the G League, balls out in the G League, is, averaging a double-double in the G League, and teams start calling when they're looking for 10-day guys. He goes up to Washington, doesn't play at all, gets a little, sparse bench minutes here and there, but doesn't really play at all. And then comes to the Grizzlies. Well, now it's a completely different situation because even though the Washington Wizards are not a very good team, their entire roster is healthy. And so they're going to play those guys. Here in Memphis, that's not the same thing. We have so many injured guys here in Memphis that he's going to play. And he's going to, I think his second or third game, he's the starting center out there because Jaren's injured.
Yeah.
And so these guys, for them, it's an opportunity. Maybe I won't stick with the Grizzlies. Maybe when the Grizzlies are all healthy, they won't need me. But maybe the Washington Wizards will need a guy to come off the bench, and they'll look at me.
Yeah, this is a big
Pistons,
audition, like you were saying.
It is. And so these guys are going to go out and fight. And so I saw a lot of people talking about, the team not being competitive last night against the Nets. And this is a Nets team that
is, it's kind of young, but not as young as us.
Well, and they're not very good. They just fired their head coach last week.
Just a bad organization in period, because I don't even think they got any draft picks or anything, no key ones.
Yeah, it's been weird because they tried to go all in with
Kyrie, and it really messed them up.
And Harden, and then it's kind of messed them up, and they're trying to figure out what to do with the franchise after that. And so I thought last night was going to be an opportunity where the Grizzlies could go out and maybe get a win, and the effort was not the best, and they didn't play well. But here's my thing, Johnny.
Tell me something, Bryant.
I see all these people frustrated with how the Grizzlies played last night.
Yeah.
And they're all upset. And, they didn't look good. Jaren, what's up with Jaren? He went 2 for 12 and, only 4 rebounds and, was a -17 on the plus-minus last night. G.G. Jackson off the bench, 1 for 13. Saw people tweeting the Jacksons combined for, 3 for 25 from the field.
Yeah.
And so people are upset that, they lost the game how they lost it because they weren't competitive. We've gotten so used to this team being competitive. They go out and beat the Bucks. They go out and they're competitive with the Clippers. But my thing is if you want this team to lose games and you want them to get all the
ping pong balls.
The ping pong balls, and because that's what I've heard is, okay, well, let's have this team play hard, and then in the fourth quarter let that other team win, and let's just keep losing games. Like, if you're gonna sit there like that, you cannot be mad at a performance like last night.
That's messing up your culture though too, like having just a losing mentality like that, because you see a lot of teams, like, not saying it like that, but the Pistons, they're a losing franchise, man, and we don't want that. Like, you still want to go out there and compete.
And some controversy there last night that will probably
oh my gosh, man, was that not something else? But you don't want your franchise, man, to be a bad organization from that standpoint, because that start being like a mental thing, right, Brian?
Yep.
And tendencies, so players will start playing that bad.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing with, how this team has been competitive, but I think I want to say we as the city and we, as people who watch this Grizzlies team, kind of got spoiled a little bit, because you don't usually see teams that are this derailed with injuries play at the level the Grizzlies have played at for a lot of this stretch, where they're in games and they're making competitive, and it's been fun to watch. Usually what you see is what you saw last night against Brooklyn. That's what most games end up becoming. And so I don't think it's end of the world, let's all freak out because Jaren Jackson had a bad night and nobody else showed up. I heard Johnny Radio this morning had Zach Boyd on. They were talking, and he asked Zach, who actually had a good game last night for the Grizzlies? And Zach said Lamar Stevens had a pretty good game. And he said, but outside of that, it's a pretty bad game from everybody. But that's okay. In a season like this, that is okay. You're going to have games like that. Brett has mentioned it a lot of times of, we still have 2 more months of Grizzlies basketball, and we're going to get to a point where this is not fun anymore. Seeing them be competitive and all that stuff is not fun anymore because they're losing so many games, and we've remained invested because of how competitive they've been. I didn't see anything wrong with that game last night. Yeah, you wanted to be more competitive. Yeah, you wanted it. But at the end of the day, this season has become trying to get Vince Williams as consistent as he can be, which he's been awesome.
Yeah, he's been improving.
You've learned what you got from him. Get G.G. Jackson in a better flow of the NBA game, so maybe, you
teaching him
can rely on him to come off the bench. And then see what you got from everybody else. Those are the three
Everybody
things.
else just fall in line.
Wins, losses,
and development.
How they play is not really a factor when you're looking at the grand picture, because this year doesn't really matter.
No, I don't.
And I don't want to call it a throwaway season, because I don't think it's a throwaway season because of what you found with Vince Williams Jr., because of what you found in G.G. Jackson. I think what you could potentially have in some of these other guys, you're able to see that. And I want to talk about Stevens in a second, because Lamar Stevens, because I've been really impressed with what I've seen from him. But it's almost a lost season. And when you have a lost season, you're going to have games like this. It's just what happens.
Yeah.
And when you have this many injuries, you're going to have games like this. So it's not fun.
Who are you most impressed with out of the young guys we have talked about, like G.G., Vince? Who are you most impressive with, man? Or who do you want to see develop most going towards next season?
I'd say I'm most impressed with Vince.
Yeah.
Just because this is a guy that spent a lot of time at VCU. The Grizzlies get him. And that was a class where they go out there and they draft 2 guys in the first round.
Yeah.
They end up drafting Kenny Chandler, the local guy, early in the second round.
They did.
And then you got Vince Williams and then Kenny Lofton was also in there. So you brought in 5 guys basically from that
young
draft,
guys,
even though Kenny Lofton was an undrafted free agent. But you brought in 5 guys, and I think out of all of those, obviously the 2 first-round picks everyone was talking about because they were first-round guys. Kenny Chandler's the local guy, so everybody's talking about him. And then Kenny Lofton was kind of like the wild card.
The wild card guy.
Of, wow, this guy can play.
Yeah,
Look at
he
this
can.
guy. He's fun to watch. And so nobody really talked about Vince Williams Jr.
Yeah, he ran under the radar.
He just got lost. And then he goes to South Haven, and you're hearing people that
he's killing in the G League.
Yeah, you hear people who cover the hustle and who go down there and watch games, and they're saying, hey, this Vince Williams Jr. guy, he can shoot the ball. He's a good player.
He can play good defense, man.
Oh, he's great defensively.
And man, I'm not saying, but a good player comp in the future probably can be Tony Allen, because I see a lot of similar things. They both 6'4", they both long. They got natural defensive sense to me when he going at the ball and different things. Like Vince Williams, he is very good. He got a lot of true potential. Then he was in the Rising Star game. A guy he got a lot of potential, man. The Grizzlies, the thing is, man, just control what you can control, man. We don't want a losing mentality.
Right.
But
I don't think you have to worry about a losing mentality.
Yeah, not with this team.
Of your roster injured. Most of the guys you're going to be relying on in the future aren't playing. You've got obviously Jaren's playing, but Desmond's not playing, Ja's not playing, Marcus Smart's not playing, Brandon Clark's not playing. Those are going to be guys that you rely on, even though you're going to rely on some of these young guys moving forward. So I would say Vince Williams, just because kind of flew under the radar, not a lot of people talking about him, and then this year they need him to play a role. He comes in, plays his role extremely well, and gets rewarded for it. I'd say the guy with the most potential has got to be Gigi. And I think that's what most people would say, just because, this was a guy that was number 1 in his class. He, reclassifies, and we've seen a lot of times guys reclassifying, it doesn't work out for them. A lot of times it does, but there are times where it doesn't work out. I think back to Amani Bates. Amani Bates came to Memphis, and he was too young, he was too raw, he was too small. It was just kind of a learning process. He was not mature enough. A lot of bad things happened that year, and it was just not a great season for him or for for Memphis, and then he goes to Eastern Michigan, and it becomes the primary scorer, and now is doing a really nice job in the G League for the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
G.G. Jackson goes to South Carolina. It just doesn't work. He's too young. He's not mature enough, and that team last year at South Carolina was not very good, and he falls all the way down to the second round, and the Grizzlies get a steal. I mean, he comes in. At first, you're thinking he's young. He should be a freshman in college right now. We're going to keep him in the G League and just see what happens. Well, then you need him. You pull him up. He shows that he can play in the NBA. And now you're seeing a bunch of people saying if he had stayed in his class and gone to either South Carolina or North Carolina, wherever he ended up, he probably would be a top 10 pick, maybe even the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. So, I mean, they've got a ton. And then you've got Lamar Stevens, who came from Boston, where he did not have an opportunity to really play at all with the Celtics. And so, and even DeMichael Cole said this yesterday when we were talking to him, of like, I remember when that trade happened, and Lamar Stevens is coming to Memphis in a trade with, between the Grizzlies and the Boston Celtics, and everyone was kind of saying, okay, just throw a player in there to make the deal work.
Yeah.
He's probably not going to be a guy that we think anything of. And then he comes here, and he's really good.
Yeah, he's really good.
And then you see guys that he played with in Boston saying, yeah, Lamar Stevens is a good player.
Yeah.
And, he's come here. I don't know what yesterday did to his numbers.
Let me see.
Since getting to Memphis, but 17 points last night, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. I mean, he every single night has gone out there and really showed that he belongs. He's now averaging, since joining the Grizzlies, so this is not the entire season, this is just since joining the Grizzlies, he's averaging 12.5 points and about 6.8 rebounds per game, in averaging 23 minutes a game. He's averaging 6.4 minutes with Boston. So he's getting this opportunity to go and show. Now, that's the difference is, okay, well, I'm a person that thinks Memphis could get a steal on this offseason, going out and re-signing Lamar Stevens to kind of a smaller deal and have him as one of the rotation guys. I think he would fit this team perfectly. I think he would be a nice player to come off the bench when everyone's healthy. But you could make the argument that, well, he's doing this while he's averaging 23 minutes a game. When he was averaging 6 minutes a game, he was only averaging about 2.5 points. So, what is going to happen when he's only playing X amount of minutes per game and he's coming off the bench in a much smaller role? Will he be able to produce like he's been producing so far with the Grizzlies? I don't know.
I don't know either, Bryant. But, Bryant, also with the Grizzlies, man, what about, like we all know all these guys can't play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the future. But one thing I want fans to think about, man, they're young, they're very young, but each day, like despite yesterday, I just feel like that's just inexperience,
Sure.
if I want to be honest. People can say effort, but I just feel like inexperience. Mm-hmm. And people not even looking at the top tier players like Jaren, he is still young. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's just a bunch of young guys out there trying to figure it out. And sometimes young guys, it's hard to always keep them engaged and stuff, especially when things aren't going the best. You know this just like I know it. Like with our own Memphis Tigers. There been moments when they haven't been fully engaged in a lot of things. So just being a young team in general, I really don't know where we're ranked, but I know we're up there with OKC and all them. We're one of the youngest teams in the league. Sure. So I say, man, just give us a little grace, man, right now. Just give them grace. Like, let them just go through this and just give them next year. For sure, we all know this is a next year season.
Sure, yeah. And so we'll see. I mean, we'll see how this team comes out, tomorrow night against Minnesota. On the road, it's going to be tough. Minnesota, in first place in the Western Conference. But, I would bet, I'd bet good money that they come back out and they're competitive tomorrow night against the Timberwolves, because I just think that we've seen enough of this group of them being competitive that I don't think this is going to be the common occurrence. Now, maybe in a month or two when you have, 10 games left, 12 games left in the season, and the season's over and now you're really just trying to position yourself better for the draft, maybe we do see games like this, But I think tomorrow night I think we'll see a better performance from the Grizzlies. Let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Dave Woloshin, the voice of the Tigers, also the host of Wolo and Friends every morning on this station. He'll join us, talk some Tigers after their win over the weekend against Florida Atlantic. They'll hit the road Thursday night against East Carolina before returning home on Sunday. So we'll talk a lot about what happened in that game against Florida Atlantic. We got to ask him about the Malcolm Dandridge situation and also the road ahead for the Tigers as we're winding down on the regular season for Penny Hardaway's group. So we'll do that at 3:30. 3:45, Grizzlies. They lost last night to the Nets. We spent a lot of this first segment talking about that, but we'll take a look at these next couple of games. We'll also look at where the Grizzlies stand right now, and we'll also talk some other NBA news and nuggets that have come out over the last 24 hours or so, especially that what happened last night in that Pistons game. And,
oh my goodness, man.
That was
something else.
Thought the Pistons were going to get a big road win, but not so fast, I guess. 4 o'clock, Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville. He'll join us, talk some college football and some college basketball. A lot of interesting things to talk about with Brent. We got to get his thoughts. Last week when we talked to him was kind of the first day we learned about the new 5+7 model for the college football playoffs. Now we're hearing 14-team playoffs, 16-team playoffs. We got to ask him what he thinks about that. And also, we know how closely he keeps up with the ACC. Some new developments over the last couple of days in the FSU versus ACC lawsuit. ESPN now jumping in and saying that Florida State committed a felony.
Really?
So yes,
that's big. That's crazy. That's crazy.
So I have to talk to Brent about that. We'll also get to a little bit of college basketball with him. Talk some ACC and SEC as the season is winding down. We're getting closer and closer to March. 4:30. We'll talk some more college basketball. Some fun games last night. A good slate tonight in college basketball. We also got Joe Lunardi's new bracketology. So we'll talk about where he has everybody in his latest bracket. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Bo Marchant will join us live from Indianapolis. He is out the Combine this week.
Yeah.
And I know this is his favorite time of the year.
My favorite time, too.
Scouting players. The offseason is really his favorite, so we'll talk a lot about that. A lot of coaches, GMs have talked today ahead of the on-field portion of the Combine that will take place later this week. But we've gotten a lot of quotes and comments from coaches, so we'll have a lot to talk about at 5 o'clock with Bo. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending. At 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over there for the floor model sale. All floor model patio sets are priced to move. Wicker sofa sets under $2,000. Closeout patio cushions as low as $25. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating under $2,000. 4-person hot tubs now under $5,000. And infrared and traditional steam saunas, 25% off. Get ready for summer and purchase your above-ground pool now to get first in line for installation. Special financing, it's still available, but make sure you get out to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Well, I think my top story of the day has got to be this week for the Tigers. It is an important week for Penny Hardaway and his group. Last week, we were kind of singing a different tune at this time. You know, it was a Tuesday. We were getting ready to talk to Dave, and we were thinking about a road loss, a double-digit road loss against North Texas, and then really the disastrous game against SMU. Now, kind of a different tune. The Tigers won pretty handedly against Charlotte last week. Then on Sunday, a big win over FAU. It seems like this team is playing with more energy. They're playing almost with a sense of urgency. I think what we saw on Sunday against last Sunday, I should say, against SMU was completely different than what we saw against Charlotte or FAU. Guys looked more engaged. Guys looked, ready for those games, unlike SMU. And I get it, road game versus home games are very different. But I thought it was interesting last night, and I don't know how much I buy into this. We've seen all season long, there's locker room, disconnect. The players aren't happy with each other. This team doesn't like each other. They don't know how to play as a team. We heard a lot of that at the beginning of the season, but it was kind of quiet. Then they go on this 10-game win streak. Everything's fine. Then they lose a handful of games, and it's back to locker room dissension. This team doesn't like each other. This year could be heading south in a major way. And then, they win a game or two in there. I think the big win against Tulane at home. And things seemed back. Then they were back, not together anymore against North Texas and SMU. It feels like we're playing this game all season long where when things are good, the team loves each other. But when things go bad, this team does not like each other.
Yeah, it's up and down for sure.
And so the big story I've seen a lot of people on social media talking about is last night Penny Hardaway had his coach's show. And during his coach's show, I guess when he got up to the mic to talk and
on Mondays at I forgot the place, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So last night when I think he doesn't actually come on until I think it starts at 6.
Yeah.
He actually starts talking at 6:30. They usually have a player or an assistant before
then. Then he closed out the show with the rest of the questions.
And so the first thing he said was he was glad to see that some of his team was there. And David Jones and a handful of the guys were there, and that he said that showed to him how united this team was. How together
that's pretty
this
big.
Team was now.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
You don't buy it?
I just don't.
You don't buy it, Brian?
I just don't know. It's like I said, it seems like we're on this seesaw all season long.
It's very inconsistent.
When things are good,
this
team is at an all-time high and they love each other. And when things are bad,
it's bad.
This team hates each other.
It's bad.
So I don't know how much I buy into that all things are well now, and that was kind of the
kind of
proof
hard.
That
it's kind of hard to
is together. I think I still need to see it. I don't trust this team yet, even though we saw what they did against Charlotte, even though we saw what they did against Florida Atlantic. I need to see them put it together more games. And I've said it before. I've heard kind of this hype of, okay, you keep winning games and you win out this regular season and you make a real push down in Fort Worth. I think you can get in as an at-large. This team's focus needs to be playing basketball at a high level, playing it the right way, going into that tournament, because I think that's the only way. Winning the tournament, I think, is the only way this team gets in to the NCAA tournament. So all their focus should be on Fort Worth, and we'll see what they can do over these next couple of games before heading down there for the conference tournament.
Man, that's a real top story. But my top story is, Brian, I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but the Detroit Pistons, man, that controversy play on defense, man. When you look at the play, man, Monty Williams called out the NBA about it, and he called them out about multiple other things that he feel that they don't get as an organization with the calls and whatnot. And, man, when he went to the podium after he said they just brought up a firestorm in the NBA. Some people were talking about why is he saying this or why is he talking after the losing record. But, man, that was just big to me, man, to see that him just come at the league like that. But that play was egregious. It was just egregious. It was terrible, man.
Yeah, no, it was really bad.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story has to be kind of what we spent the start of the show talking about, and that's what the Grizzlies did last night at home against the Brooklyn Nets. A 111-86 loss. A game that really, from start to finish, it was all Brooklyn. At the end of the first quarter,
I agree.
It was 30-18. I mean, I'll be honest. I will just throw this out there. I was kind of in the position of, I think this is a good opportunity for the Grizzlies. I think this is a game that they could really go out there and win.
I can see why you say that, though, because with Brooklyn being who they are.
Right, and then I started thinking, well, the Grizzlies have been competitive. The Grizzlies have gone out there and really fought, but then, things kind of come apart in that fourth quarter. I think they lead at half, and so I bet for the Grizzlies
you did
to win the first half. And let me tell you something, Johnny. When I looked up and it was 30-18 at the end of the first quarter, I knew that was done. I knew my bet was completely out. But that's
just don't have the firepower, man.
They don't. And, when you have a season like this, I like a lot of these guys that are playing right now.
Me too. I honestly do.
They have this opportunity. They are getting this opportunity to show other teams, hey, I can be on an NBA roster. And I love that. And like DeMichael Cole said, this is kind of a tryout for the Grizzlies and and for a lot of these guys to see how do they want to fill out their rotation, fill out that bench for next season. But I think, I don't think you'll see this every single night from this Grizzlies unit.
I doubt it.
Like this, but you will see a couple of these, and it was just kind of a shame that it had to happen on the home court last night.
Yeah, man, it is a shame, especially since it happened at home court, and that is also my not top story. The Grizzlies lost, man, because Brian, like you said, I agree with a lot of things you said, man. I love this young team, man. I love the things about them. I love G.G. Jackson. I just love the young guys, man. Them guys compete, but they also are young. It's hard putting them in young guys in positions like that to lead a team when they're not ready to lead. Gigi's 19, if I'm not correct, 19 or 21 of them. He's very young, man. So, like, he's still growing as a player. Vince Williams still growing as a player. Man, but this is great for them down the line, man. This is real great for them down the line.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the Grizzlies, they're back in action tomorrow night. We'll talk some more Grizzlies at the end of this hour. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. We need to get to a break. And when we come back, we're talking Tigers with Dave Woloshin.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
You know, sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Witten Road.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better. I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning Corning, and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value.
MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with
MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. They've been doing some road work today. It's had traffic a little bit slower than normal up through the Midtown area on 240 northbound up around South Parkway. As you continue all the way up to Chelsea, again, a little bit of slowdown at times on 240 in the Midtown area. Traffic still looks pretty good right now. 240 over here around Perkins, headed towards 385 Billmores Parkway, still clear as you continue out into Collierville. Hey, 24/7 reliable crane and rigging services right here in Memphis. It's Tomahawk Crane and Rigging. Check them out at tomahawkcrane.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Let's welcome longtime voice of the Tigers and host of Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings at 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Dave Woloshin to talk Tigers football and basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Dave Woloshin joins us now to talk some Tigers after the big win over Florida Atlantic over the weekend. Voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin. You can also hear him every single morning with Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 at 10 a.m. Dave, thanks so much for joining us today. Obviously, want to get to a lot of what happened on Sunday against Florida Atlantic, but I want to start off with the Malcolm Dandridge situation. We kind of started hearing the rumblings and reporting Friday night that Malcolm Dandridge would miss Saturday's game due to potential academic misconduct. Saturday morning, the athletic department released a statement saying that they were, quote, gathering and reviewing information regarding a potential issue impacting Malcolm Dandridge's eligibility and is withholding him from competition until further notice. What can you share about this situation? What have you heard? I know before the game, Penny Hardaway was talking to you in pregame and kind of said that they didn't know if they were just going to be missing him for that game or if it could be like a rest of the season thing for him. What do you think? Do you think we've seen the last of Malcolm Dandridge this year, or do you think this will be a couple of games and then he's back?
I wish I could give you a definitive answer, but the truth is I have literally no idea.
Yeah.
It was a curious time to release a story. Whoever broke this does not understand the news cycle to do it late on a Friday night. So I don't quite understand that. They never really give sources. Mm-hmm. It was not a legitimate, as far as I'm concerned, what we know to be the true journalism distribution entities, which when I talk about that, I would say the Commercial Appeal, mm-hmm. I would say Daily Memphian, I would say all of the television stations. None of them have broken that story, only reported that story based on an internet entity mm-hmm. that really didn't give a whole lot of information, gave a lot of speculation, and I have no idea if they are right or wrong. Yeah. I will say this. Malcolm Dandridge was out on the floor in flip-flops, greeting people as they came into the stadium before the game began. For a guy, if he was guilty, he wasn't acting like it.
Yeah.
He's basically said, can't wait for this to be over and to get back on the court, as if he thought that would be the case. Mm-hmm. All I could get or gather from Penny was that they're investigating and they're being very cautious, and that's why they're going to hold him out, and they'll hold him out until he's truly proven guilty or he's innocent, one or the other. Yeah. So I can't honestly, Brian, I can't venture a guess because I think that would be unfair to the situation. My knowledge is incredibly limited, and as far as I'm concerned, those that broke the story didn't give very much info.
Right, yeah, I'm with you on that. Well, let's get to the game on Sunday. A big win, 78-74 win over Florida Atlantic. And one thing that really jumped out to me after watching the game and then going back and kind of looking at the box score, After all of these weeks of people talking about rotation and 10 guys playing and so many guys off the bench getting minutes, the 5 starters for the Tigers all got 30 or more minutes in that game and played really, really well. Do you expect to see that going forward with, Penny Hardaway has said in the past that he's looking to try to limit that rotation, just trying to find which guys he can rely on? Do you think kind of over these next 3 games to end the regular season and then getting to Fort Worth that we will see more like this? Maybe not every game, all of those players getting 30-plus minutes, but more of a limited rotation.
My guess would be that would be situational, and if we look at the history here, that's the first time he's played all 5 starters over 30 minutes.
Yeah. First
time. The only guy that's really been getting, or 2 guys that have really been getting 30-plus minutes on average, that would be David Jones and Javon Quinterly, and Quinterly gets, I think, about a half a minute more on average per game than David Jones. I do think in close games, especially when people know each other really well, you are going to cut your rotation down.
Sure.
I think Penny's teams have done that in the past. Toward the end, down the stretch, in games that are close, you cut your rotation down. But when you get more guys back, and honestly, I think he would have loved to use Jordan Brown more since Malcolm Dandridge wasn't available against Golden. I mean, Vlad Golden, the center, the 7-1 Russian for Florida Atlantic, it was 9 for 9 in the game. I promise you, had a healthy Jordan Brown, because his back was clearly bothering him, and he played very limited minutes. Or if Malco had played in that game, I'm not saying Golden wouldn't be good because he's a really good player, but I'm telling you he wouldn't have gone 9 for 9. There's no way he would have been able to camp in the paint and do what he did if Malco is in there. So I just think it's situational. I think the closer the games are, the tighter the rotation is going to be. I expect that you probably see 7 or 8 guys play a good amount of minutes in the game against East Carolina because that team is decent at home. They're a 500 ball club all the way around, and this year in Minji's 11-7. So my suspicion is that you're going to be dictating by what the score is.
Sure.
But you're not going to see 12 guys play. I don't think that will be the case. You might see a few minutes like that depending on the way the game starts in the first half, but I doubt that that'll be the case. And then let's see where Brown is. Let's see, Jaden Hardaway played well. The one guy you didn't use, I was a little surprised at because you wanted perimeter defense, was Carl Sharon-Font. I do think you're getting a little bit more confident in what Jonathan Pierre can do. But let's face it, when it's on the line, you're going to see the 5 guys that played.
Absolutely.
That's what you're going to see. And Walton's back in the starting lineup because Malco is no longer around, or at least in the picture for the moment.
Right. Talking to Dave Woloshin, the voice of the Tigers, also host of Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Kind of the story of the game, even though David Jones led the team with 25 points, Naquan Tomlin was the guy that everyone came away talking about. 21 points for him, 8 rebounds, and brought the energy from the very tip of the game. A lot of people comparing him to DeAndre Williams and the energy that he brought in his time at Memphis. But what did you make of Naquan's game and kind of that energy that he plays with?
Well, first of all, please don't compare him to DeAndre Williams because I think that's the way the Tigers tried to play him, and he wasn't really comfortable with that. In the last few games, if you'll notice, they moved him more to a perimeter. He was the starting 3 for the game against Charlotte, remember? They had Malco, and they actually played Jourdain at the 4, and they played Tomlin at the 3. So he's much more comfortable crashing from the outside, setting up to begin with from the outside. His three-point shot is average. I'm not going to say it's great, but it won't kill you. He can make a few, but it seems like he gets a running start, and he's a lot more effective. And every game I say, oh, that's the best game I've seen Tomlin play in a Memphis uniform. And the last 2 back-to-back really have been good. So I think he's figured it all out, how to play with these guys. They've figured out the best place to put them. and he's really starting to be an effective guy. I would say if you're going to say that there's a Memphis big three, he is now the third guy in the big three.
Wow, I love that. No, certainly his athleticism and crashing those boards kind of from the perimeter has been really, really fun to watch. Another guy, and a guy that I don't think gets as much praise as he deserves, is Nicholas Jourdain. I really like what he does. Looking kind of at the box score, maybe it doesn't jump out, only 3 points, 1 for 6 shooting, but what he does in the hustle categories, I mean, getting 6 offensive rebounds, getting a couple of blocks in key situations, and just, diving on the ground for loose balls. And watching him on the court, it seems like he's always talking on both ends of the court, offensively and defensively. What have you made of his addition to this team this year? Because coming in, you hear about the David Jones and Javon Quinterly from Alabama, and then you've got this Nicholas Jourdain who came off the bench last year for Temple, and maybe not a lot of people as excited for that addition. What has he brought to this team, in your opinion, and do you think people are talking enough about his game?
Well, if there was a play that I thought symbolized the Tigers turning the corner from the week ago against Dallas when they gave up the rope, it would be the play that Jourdain went on the ground, diving, giving up his body, hurting himself, had to come out of the game, but setting up the three that David Jones hit that gave the Tigers the lead in the second half. That, to me, was the symbol of buy-in, of hustle, of effort, and Jourdain has been that way the whole year. If you look, Jourdain has been the top field goal percentage guy, the top 3 percentage guy. If you look for a big guy, he's got the best ratio of any of the big guys, the positive ratio. And he's like 4th most assists on the team. I don't want to label him, but if there was a glue guy like Antonio Anderson was to the team in 2008 when the team went to the championship game, that's what Jourdain has been. Now they're a little different, and I Anderson forever is one of the greats. Right. He had a triple-double. He and Penny, the only ones with triple-doubles. So I don't want to say that Jourdain is that. But to this team, that is what he is. He is a glue guy. He'll give you everything that doesn't necessarily show up on a stat sheet to win a game.
Dave, coming off of 2 great wins that the Tigers have, man, what do you think we got to do to keep this going, man, moving forward against ECU?
I think you got to keep doing the same thing. As Penny has said over and over now, it's a fight every night. You can't just go out there. This team, maybe at one point when they were 15-2, would have had the right to say, you know what, we're pretty darn good. We can show up and we're going to beat most teams with our skill alone. Well, it's a different team. There's no more Caleb Mills. There is Jordan Brown is not what Jordan Brown we thought was going to be. Now you don't have Malco. You've got to come to play every night. You can't just rely on your talent. You've got to be a blue-collar team as well. You've got to come. You've got to bring your pail to work. And you know what? Maybe you have to have a little physicality about you. Throw yourself around a bit like they did in these 2 games. Those 2 games were against 2 of the better teams in the conference. I mean, they were both second place at the time that Memphis played them. What they did against Charlotte was pretty darn impressive. To beat them the way they did. And then, look, FAU was picked to win the league. I'm still not convinced about USF. That's a great story. Don't get me wrong. I think Abdul Rahim should be the coach of the year. I think he should be considered as one of the coaches of the year nationally for the way he's turned around that program with a bunch of new guys and have gotten them to buy in and play together. They've won 13 in a row. They actually beat Florida State, too. So they've got 1 or 2 or 3 really good resume builders. But the problem for them is they won 21 games. Of those 10 games, of those 21, 10 are quad 4 victories. Wow. So I'm still not convinced. I think they've been great. But I think if you're looking at the 3 best teams in the league, and I think this will end up showing up when they all get to a neutral in Fort Worth, is that Florida Atlantic, Memphis, and SMU and I'll throw in USF. Those are the teams to beat.
Yeah, well, a very important week for the Tigers. East Carolina Thursday night, then back to FedEx Forum on Sunday against UAB. Dave, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Looking forward to it, man. Have a good one, guys. You and Johnny.
Thanks, Dave. Dave Woloshin, the voice of the Tigers. He joins us every single Tuesday to talk Tigers during the football and basketball season. And a big one on the road, East Carolina. This Tigers team has struggled at times in that arena, so we'll see what happens Thursday night. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some more about the Grizzlies, their schedule the rest of this week, and a lot of other things that happened in the NBA last night. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
How many times have we said that Bell Tavern, Memphis' perfect bar, is not a sports bar? Granted, much of the year, sports are one of the main attractions at any bar. But at Bell Tavern, a great time can be had without having to keep checking the score. It's a slow time of year for sports, but it's never a slow time of year to go to a great bar with the perfect atmosphere, coldest beer, and the nicest people you're likely to meet. Chances are, even if you're a huge sports fan, when you leave after a visit to Bell Tavern, you'll be surprised to realize you never thought about them once. You were having too good a time at Bell Tavern.
If you own a business, you know Luttrell Belting keeps you moving. Luttrell has cost-effective belts, conveyor components, and 24/7 on-site service to keep you operating smoothly. Text or just a phone call away at 800-441-8946 or online at LuttrellBelting.com. Luttrell's Memphis plant stocks belting in nearly every size and finish, and if they don't have it, they'll make it. From ordering to selection, fabrication, and installation, your Luttrell sales rep is there for you. Luttrell Belting keeps you moving.
It's leap year, so jump into big savings at Gossett Kia on the Pike. New 2024 Kia Forte LXS gets 41 MPG, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. How about 7-passenger seating? Get 2023 Kia Sorento LX, $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride LX, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease, and don't forget, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So call Bobby J to put you in a new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online anytime at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE 722-812, MSRP 21590. Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33010. Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Johnny Hill with you. No Brett Norsworthy today. He's out today. He's out tomorrow.
Yeah.
He'll be back Thursday.
Much deserved, though.
Taking some time off. But I want to also note that a little programming note, I guess you could say. Ole Miss baseball gets started in a couple minutes. 4 o'clock first pitch for them. If you're an Ole Miss fan looking for that game, we are going to join in progress at 6 o'clock as Ole Miss and Little Rock. They face off in a midweek game today. So we'll have that coverage at 6 o'clock right when we're off the air. But we talked Grizzlies earlier, Johnny. They lost last night against Brooklyn. And looking forward to the rest of the slate kind of this week and into next week, you know, there are a lot, and I feel kind of silly for saying this, there are more opportunities for the Grizzlies to to get a win. Not that we really care about wins right now. But the next game on the road against the Timberwolves, that one's going to be tough. Timberwolves is a really, really good team. Right now, first in the Western Conference, and looking like a team that could make a run in the playoffs. But after that, back-to-back games, Friday night and Saturday night against the Portland Trailblazers. And Portland Trailblazers, we talked yesterday about teams that are in a situation. Brett brought this up, and he said, I think despite what has happened this year, I think a lot of Grizzly fans would say that this team is in a better position right now than a lot of other teams that are, have similar records to them. Portland Trailblazers being one of them. They got a lot of really good young players, but they're kind of in the middle of that rebuild. They just got rid of Dame. Dame has been that, marquee piece, that franchise player for a long time, and now without him, they're moving more towards the future and kind of that start of that rebuild this year with their high draft picks. So you get back-to-back games against them, and then you get to see the Brooklyn Nets again on the road in Brooklyn Monday night. So, of those 4 games, I think the Grizzlies can be very competitive in all of them. Even though you're going up against Minnesota, this team has shown that they can be competitive against some of the top teams in the NBA. So I don't see why they wouldn't do the same thing against the Timberwolves on the road.
Man, Brian, I really do feel the same. But also, Brian, I got a question, man.
Okay.
When really looking at this Grizzlies team, right? We see the new additions that we got, the young talent that we got, and we also know that we're gonna have a good draft pick based off what's going on. Where do you see us? I know we still got the rest of the NBA season and different things like that, but where do you see the Memphis Grizzlies next year? At this time, what do you think?
No, that's a good question. I think if it's all about health, and I don't.
Yeah, it really is when it comes to us. Yeah,
can predict a season like this with injuries, but I think next year, as long as that team stays healthy, I don't see a way, a reason to not think that they would be top 5 in the West. But the problem is you're in the Western Conference, and there's so many good teams in the Western Conference. And then, last year you didn't have Oklahoma City doing what they're doing this year. And so it's going to be competitive. There's going to be a lot of teams, but they should be in that mix of certainly being a playoff team and being a team that could make a run in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, man, and I completely agree with you because, man, when you just look at the potential of this great young team that we got, man, some people talking about add free agents. You can if you want to. But I just see how it's going, man, how it's molding together, man. This is a good young team, man. And especially the pick that we got also, man, where I'm most likely pretty sure it's going to be a lottery pick, if not anything else. This team got a bright future, so I don't want everybody to just get off the boat. You know what I'm saying? Because it's easy to get off the boat. Then you see other teams, other good young teams doing what they do. And like you said, OKC at number 2 or 3 right now. So it's easy to get off the boat. So I just feel like everybody just stay packed because they got some good things going on in Memphis.
Sure, and I think a lot of people realize that this is just kind of that weird year. I'm curious for you. We talked to DeMichael Cole yesterday, of course, and I asked him about. I've seen on social media, and I want other people's thoughts. 901-360-8255. Hit us up on this topic. Hit us up on any topic.
Yeah,
the rest
for
of
sure.
the day. But I'm curious where you stand. I'm curious where the listeners stand. I've seen a lot of it on social media in terms of the draft or trade conversation. I've seen some people say that you're going to have right now. I'm on NBADraft.net, and the Grizzlies are slotted at number 6.
Oh,
so
okay.
They would be picking
That's
number
a good pick.
6. This mock draft has them taking Matas Buzelis with that pick. Or you could go and trade that. You think, 6th pick, you could probably get
It got some weight to
a
it.
good package in return for that. I know DeMichael yesterday said that if you have the kind of assumption that the Grizzlies need to go out and get a center, that he thinks the best option would be to trade that pick.
Really?
And go try to get a veteran experienced center because he said he doesn't trust any of the centers kind of at the top of this draft.
I feel like I think if I'm not mistaken, Andre Drummond, I think he's projected to be a free agent this year. So I think that'd be a good picking for us in all honesty. That he's a veteran guy, he can come in, man, and he's not too old. If I'm not mistaken, he's 30 or 31 right now. And that just be a good guy to fit in right now into the fold that we got.
Sure.
I just feel like he can be a good fit. If I'm not mistaken, this is his last contract. He's on the Bulls, right, Brian?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, this is his last year on the Bulls.
Yeah.
They haven't re-signed him. He's on a player option. So I say fit him in with the Grizzlies. That'd be a good pick. He can start or whatever you want to do, come off the bench, but he'll be a good guy, I feel, just to have in the locker room, man. You never hear no drama with him.
Yeah, and he is he'll be a free agent after the season. So, and that would be, if you go out and try to bring him in as a free agent, then, you can, go out and make a pick with your lottery pick. So, we'll have to see what they do, but it'll be interesting to kind of keep up with this Grizzlies season and see what happens with the offseason. But we need to wrap up this first hour and get to a break. When we come back, we're talking some college football. We're talking some college basketball with Brent Beard from First Coast News down in Jacksonville.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text JUDGE to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone-boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 42424. That's JUDGE to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope. And they're fun. So you don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
Now try Babbel free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21,590. Sorrento PG 24,2710, MSRP 33,010. Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38,705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff Allen, you ready to get this party started at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. Gossett's got your new Kia that gets 41 MPG highway. 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $239 a month. $27.99 due at signing. Need extra room? How about a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX at $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing, and a 2024 Kia Telluride S all-wheel drive, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing, all 36-month lease.
Plus, get peace of mind because with every Gossett Kia, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or online, KiaMountMoriah.com.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's starting to crank up out here in the Midtown area, especially on 40 over here at Chelsea. It's not the worst we've ever seen it, but it will build even more so here in a few minutes southbound on 240 from, let's say, South Parkway down past Norris, 240 getting on to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. That's actually been in pretty good shape so far this afternoon. Let's keep up the good work. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
College football talk every Tuesday with Brent Beard, Heisman voter, and on Twitter X at Brent Beard. SEC, ACC, AAC. We talk it all with Brent. Here's Brent Beard with Bryant and Brett.
Brent Beard joins us now from First Coast News in Jacksonville, talk some college football and a little college basketball. Brent, thanks so much for joining us. Last week when we talked to you, it was kind of the first day we had learned about the 5+7 format for the college football playoffs over these next 2 years. But then the next day, Wednesday, and then into Thursday, we got more and more information about discussions being held by these commissioners, by the college football playoff, in terms of expanding it. We thought maybe the next move would be 16. Now we're hearing maybe 14. So where do you stand in terms of the idea of expanding it more than 12? Do you like the idea of 14? Do you like the idea of 16? I still want to see 12 before I think about expanding it any further. But obviously with money, they're going to want to expand. Where do you kind of sit with all of this?
Well, I'm fine with 12 too, but I'm open. Do want to see it and do want to see what differences that we've got. I think look, I don't think we have a clue yet how exciting and how incredibly this is going to do for interest with the teams. Mm-hmm. Instead of 8 teams maybe being excited about the Final Four, if it's that many, for the 12. I mean, guys, we may have 20 or 25. I mean, that really ramps things up in November when that happens. Now, the reason in that we're leaving this open-minded is the 5-7 is basically done through 25 and 24, 25. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's going to happen in 26. So they'll have a couple of years to be able to look at this, see where it's going, see where the money's going. And, I mean, we still can't rule out maybe the SEC and Big Ten eventually doing their own thing either. Yeah. But for now, it's better than 4, but we've got to be able to see it and see how this is going to work. One of the things they're doing, thank God, is they're moving early signing day off of December the 21st and moving it earlier. I frankly think they do better moving it to the summer and to doing it that way. So a lot to still be determined with this, right, Bryant? But we are, but they're talking, and we will have to see where this goes right now.
When you kind of look at this, obviously I think what you mentioned of sometime in the future seeing the SEC and the Big Ten kind of move off and do their own thing, I think that's probably the most likely. But do you see a world where we could get all the way up to what the FCS has and have 24 teams in the playoffs? Do you think they would ever go to that many? I mean, I think it's wild that we're already talking about 16 and 14 before we even get to 12. Could you see a world where we get up to in the 20s and get to a number like 24?
I think anything's possible right now.
Wow.
I mean, I appreciate greatly what some of the lower divisions have done and the interest that you've got there. I've always been a believer. Now, look, I like the regular season, but until now, we have never developed this postseason. Right. And this has been one of the major problems in college football is we put all the eggs in the basket of your regular season instead of doing some of the postseason. I mean, you still got people who want to go back to the 4 or even the 2 in the BCS, or heaven forbid, even having the AP poll vote on it. I mean, how ridiculous is that? But, I mean, my answer to that would be, well, we could go back to rotary phones and Model T Fords, but I don't think that's going to get us anywhere. So, but no, I've always believed we should have a strong ending to the season in a much better one than what we've got right now.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you on that. And, one of the teams that obviously a lot of people have been talking about a good reason to expand the playoffs was Florida State, and kind of what happened to them at the end of last season, winning their conference, being an undefeated team, and still being left out of the college football playoffs. But for Florida State, now that conversation has moved from on the field to kind of off the field stuff in their battle with the ACC. An interesting development over the last couple of days. ESPN has now jumped into the legal battle. ESPN is claiming that Florida State and its lawyers might have committed a felony in attempt to leave the ACC. ESPN obviously wants the grant of rights between the network and the conference to be sealed and not be released to the public. They think that if it's made public, that puts them at a competitive disadvantage to other networks like CBS and Fox when it comes to these contracts with conferences. But also they said that they think that Florida State broke Florida law by disclosing trade secrets back in December when the Board of Trustees met, and they said that it would cost the school about $572 million to exit the grant of rights. What have you made of this recent development?
Well, I still think what's going on behind the scenes is they're negotiating here. They're trying to get this done, probably cut in half, so the ACC can get some money and Florida State can get out. And I tell you, if they do, they're going to be followed by some other teams. I mean, I've certainly heard North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson, maybe Miami, maybe Notre Dame also, and that still has a lot associated with the ACC, that several of those teams are going to be out. And if they do, the ACC will do all they can to replace those also. But I think FSU's getting out. They've got to let the powers to be know by August of this year.
Oh, wow.
And I think they'll be in another conference in 2026, and that likely would be the Big Ten.
Wow. Well, I my next question for you was going to be about, I saw the kind of people bringing it back up. I know it was reported kind of right after it happened, but Jim Phillips signed an amendment in 2021 that gives ESPN until February 2025 to decide if they want to extend its contract with the ACC beyond 2027. And if they chose to pass on it, that deal would there's no revenue set in place for the ACC after 2027. And if they had passed on that, all these ACC teams would kind of become free agents at that point and could go to other schools. But it sounds like you think this could move way quicker than that.
Well, for them to move, if they give notice for this summer that they want to move, and that would give them from now, I mean, that would basically give them, Brian, 6 months.
Yeah.
And there's a lot you can do in 6 months. Sure. And if they serve notice then that we're moving in next fall, which would be 2025, that would be so I think you're going to see either if they make the move, and I think they will, that it would be probably 2025 or 2026 for that to happen. And again, I think a lot of this is just getting this exit fee down to where they can deal with that a lot better than they are now.
When you mentioned in kind of those teams that could be looking for a new conference, you slipped in Notre Dame in there. You also said North Carolina, but you slipped in Notre Dame in that group, and obviously that's kind of one of the prize jewels for the Big Ten in the SEC. If Florida State went to the Big Ten, like you said, you think could possibly happen, would that be enough for Notre Dame to say, okay, we'll jump in and we'll join the Big Ten?
Maybe. Part of the problem Notre Dame's got is even if they went undefeated, they would still, because they're not in a conference, and they would not have a conference championship. And we know the committee really values these conference championships that Notre Dame, my understanding is, and I heard Heather Dinich of ESPN explain this, that Notre Dame would start out in the playoffs as like the fifth seed.
Oh, yeah.
So that's pretty fascinating. But again, been told for years they don't want to give up their independence, and they may never do that. But this is the first time I've heard in a long time about the real possibility of Notre Dame maybe having to join the conference.
One more thing about Florida State. We know kind of in the past, talking about the Big Ten and schools that they bring in, that the AAU certification is really big for that conference. They've said kind of that it's not a requirement, but we know how much they look upon that. Does Florida State have that, or
No.
or what would that kind of conversation be?
No, they're working on it. That's my understanding of the people I've talked to at Florida State have said that they are working on being able to qualify for AAU. Now, the Big Ten, my understanding, I think every school except Nebraska's got it, and they pride themselves on the AAU, and that's important. I should have mentioned a minute ago in the expansion. The Big Ten commissioner, Tony Petitti, is actually the one who really wants to expand to 16 teams. So he's one that's kind of pushing that. I think they would look at it as important, the AAU, but I don't think it would stop necessarily from letting a team in, especially as long as they're working on the process.
Right, absolutely. We're talking college football with Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville. Well, we've talked a lot this offseason about Alabama. Obviously, the big change coming with the guy on the sideline, no more Nick Saban down at Bama, but also for fans that like to listen on the radio, there will be changes. Eli Gold will no longer be the voice of Alabama radio moving forward. It seemed like at first, I know when that news broke, Brett and I were kind of talking about it, and we said, well, we don't really know what has gone into that, but likely health issues. We know over these past couple of years, Eli Gold has been kind of limited in his duties because of health-related reasons, but he told AL.com after that news broke that, quote, the university has chosen to not bring me back. This is not, with a capital N-O-T, not at all health related. I am very healthy. Everything is wonderful. I am healthy as a horse. That same article went on to talk about how it seemed like he wanted to do at least one more season with Alabama, but Alabama decided to move forward and make the change. What have you made of the Eli Gold situation with Alabama?
Well, he really did want to come back, and I really think that Alabama probably should have given him one more year.
Yeah.
But what we're really not sure of yet is, Brian, would he have made the road games?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they could have dealt with that like they did last year. Eli doing the home games and Chris Stewart doing the road games. So now he does have a new job in Nashville.
Yeah, I saw that.
With the Cats. So I don't know where that's going to go. What's going to be interesting to me will be, will he have a job in the fall with a college team or even an NFL team? That will probably tell us too about how well that he's doing. But congratulations to him for being in remission with cancer.
Absolutely.
But listen, he was and is an institution at Alabama.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was definitely sad to see that news that he would not be with Alabama anymore. But like you mentioned, his new job in Nashville with the Cats, I've kind of adopted them with, being so close to Nashville. I've adopted them as my AFL team. So I'm excited to hear him on some of those games.
Well, that's good. And that'll be interesting to see how he does. And if he is sharper than he was, I'll be be important to follow him. I mean, good night. When you imagine this, you've been with the program 36 years as a play-by-play guy. That is close to being unprecedented.
Unbelievable. That's almost being there forever. I mean, when you're pushing 40
yeah.
years in the same position, I almost say you've been there for the entire history of that program.
Generation.
Absolutely. It's hard to believe, Brent, but we are already back to spring ball for a lot of these teams. I saw Missouri and I believe also Auburn both started spring practice today. Those are the only two SEC teams to get started. A lot of the other teams will return in the next couple of weeks. So for these two teams that kicked off today, firstly for Missouri, last year kind of going into the spring, into the summer, the big question was who's going to be the starting quarterback? And we didn't know, a couple guys that could have been the starter. Brady Cook ultimately wins it and had a phenomenal season last year with the rest of his offensive weapons. This year, the question is on the opposite side of the ball, the defense that was really good last year. Kind of got overshadowed by how electric that offense was. But they bring in a new defensive coordinator, have to replace a lot of key positions. Can they replicate what they did last year, or do you think that defense will take a little bit of a hit this year?
Well, that's a great question. And we don't quite know but they need to be able to do that. They've got a new defensive coordinator and Corey Patoon. Listen, they're losing 10 players on defense, 10.
Wow.
Who either started or contributed significantly. Tyron Hopper is one of those that will be gone. So I would agree totally with that. Brady Cook is coming back. Luther Burton, I believe, is coming back.
Yeah.
Two of the better players in the league overall. So we'll be fascinated to see what Eli Drinkwith can do with this group.
Yeah, it could be a really fun season for Missouri. And then for Auburn, Hugh Freeze getting ready for his second year down there at Auburn. What are you keeping an eye on this spring into the summer with this program, and what kind of jump do you think Auburn can make in Hugh Freeze's second year?
Well, a lot of it is going to depend on the quarterback. We don't know how good Peyton Thorne's going to be. But what helps Peyton Thorne is Jarquez Hunter at running back. And the receivers, Brian, have got to be better.
Got to.
They love Cam Coleman, this freshman. They think he will be impressive. They almost got Cam Brown, too. So I think they probably will be okay. The offensive line that they're looking for, I think a little something better there. Also, but again, I mean, this team faltered at the end. They were awful, frankly, in the bowl game. But still, how they react at quarterback, I think very, very much is going to depend on the season. We mentioned Thorne. They've also got a Holden Grenier, Hank Brown, Walker White. We don't know a lot about those guys. Robbie Ashford is gone.
Yeah.
I believe it's South Carolina. So that's going to be the crux of their season, I believe.
Yeah, no, it's going to be definitely something to keep an eye on. Talking to Brent Beard from First Coast News in Jacksonville. Brent, I want to sneak in a couple of college basketball questions in here. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this first one because I mean, it feels like everybody and their mother has been talking about this.
Right.
But obviously, with how close you follow the ACC, the biggest story being the court storming up in Winston-Salem after Wake Forest beat Duke, Kyle Filipowski. It looks like the injury is not as bad as we originally thought when he was coming off of the court. But where do you stand in the whole court storming debate? Because I feel like, I know Brett said the same thing yesterday of, I can see both sides of the argument. I could probably make an argument for both sides. Where do you stand on it?
Well, I think they need to do one or two things. They either need to strictly enforce a rule that says we're going to start the clock, and you've either got 10 seconds, 30 seconds, or a minute to let the other team clear the floor, and then you can go. Otherwise, just stop it altogether.
Yeah.
And that would frankly, Brian, that would probably be the easiest thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you. And honestly, you're seeing a lot of coaches coming out and saying, I don't even like court stormings to begin with. And I usually find myself siding more with the coaches. If the coaches think that it's a good idea, I usually back them up and say, yeah, it's probably a good thing. So it will be definitely interesting to see what comes from that. Last thing for you, Brent. I know we've got a few coach openings already. Ohio State, probably the biggest one right now. It looks like we could have a couple more, maybe in the Big Ten. I know a lot of people talking about, Mick Cronin could be a possibility at one of these schools, and then UCLA could come open. But one name that I keep hearing circulated in these coaching searches is Nate Oates at Alabama. Obviously has done a terrific job down there with that team. Do you see a job that could come open, or that is already open, that could be one that Nate Oates looks at and says, I've got to go take that? Do you think he's a good candidate for some of these jobs?
Well, I think he's a good candidate, but he's got a big buyout, and Alabama's also talking about starting an arena that they really need to do all they can to keep him.
Yeah.
And they have overachieved this year. He's done a great job with this team. They've got some work to do, starting with Ole Miss tomorrow night. But I think what they do with the arena is going to be huge, all in all. But man, oh man, what he has done for this bunch, they really struggle handling the ball, and they can also go for periods of time where they can't hit the broad side of a barn. But even in the midst of that, he has got them believing in themselves.
Yeah.
That they can score 100 points in a game if they need to, but they've got to get much better defensively if they really want to win a championship. They could win the league. I mean, depending on how they do, they've got a tough schedule coming up. Ole Miss tomorrow night, Saturday, Tennessee at home on game day for the first time, which is incredible. And then Florida and Gainesville next week would be really tough.
Yeah.
And then with Arkansas at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it won't be easy. That's kind of life in the SEC right now. One more quick thing I wanted to ask you, Brent. Back to college football. The big news last week, UCLA hires Eric Bieniemy as their offensive coordinator after Eric Bieniemy spent a lot of time with the Chiefs, a season last year with the Commanders. What did you think about that hire? How big is that for UCLA to bring a guy like that in?
Well, it's big. I'll be honest with you. Am I wrong in saying some shine is off of his star a little bit? I remember when he was a slam dunk to be the next great head coach in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But he is he's a good recruiter, and he could probably deal with the kids there in that area pretty well. So I think he'll be okay. I'm just kind of wondering what also happened along the way in his career.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I mean, it feels like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he was one of the biggest names in terms of head coach in the NFL, certainly offensive coordinator. So definitely a different move to go to UCLA, but I'm definitely interested to see how that plays out. Well, Brent, as always, thank you so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Good. Can't wait, bud. Take care.
Thanks, Brent. Brent Beard from First Coast News down in Jacksonville. He joins us every single week. We mainly talk college football with him, but obviously with March right around the corner, March Madness coming up, got to get some college basketball in there with him. We're about to get to a break. Before we do that, I know, look, like I said, we're right around the corner from March Madness. You got to get in front of a TV, watch these games, and I've got just the spot for you. It's Bell Tavern, located at 117 Barbaro Alley, right behind 117 Prime. Open from 4 to 11 Wednesday through Saturday and 4 to 8 on Sundays. Look, I know nobody likes a loud bar where you can't hear yourself think, much less talk, but that's the opposite of Bell Tavern. Start your night with a gourmet burger and Tavern, one of their great cocktails in a quiet, dimly lit bar that you can enjoy one of these games at with your friends. It's not a sports bar. It's the opposite of a sports bar, but man, they do a great job with all of the TVs they've got in there. You'll never miss the action. But make sure you get their bar food too. It's not just the burgers. They've got the best bar food in Memphis and the coldest beer in the city. 117 Prime, just walk through their dining room and you're at the best bar in town. For more information about our friends over at Bell Tavern, give them a call, 901-249-6580. That's 901-249-6580. Go online to belltavern.com. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we'll talk some college basketball.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
The President's Day sales event is on strong at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. How about 0% for 72 months on all 2024 Ram 1500 Bighorns? Yeah, 0 for 72 on 2024 Ram 1500 Bighorns. How about $8,000 off 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limiteds? We Gossett at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. And how about your new 2023 Dodge Charger $27,990? There's no reason to shop anywhere else. Get to Gossett on the Pike today. New 2023 Charger $27,990, 2024 Grand Cherokee Limited $8,000 off and 0 for 72 on all 2024 Bighorns. So drive past the rest and come to the best Gossett on the Pike or shop online GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Charger PH 508-657, MSRP 35,930, Cherokee PC 662620, MSRP 55,760, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax on a license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
It's a new year, and Family Leisure has a new way to bring family and fun together. All you have to do is walk into Family Leisure and look around. All those floor model patio sets you see, those have got to go, so Family Leisure can make room for all the new sets coming. Get a wicker sofa set for under $2,000. Pool tables under $1,500. Theater seating for under $2,000. Hot tubs for $4,000 or just for yourself. If you really want to lounge, they're under $5,000. Need patio cushions? Get them as low as $25. Oh, have you seen those infrared steam saunas? Well, now they and the traditional saunas are 25% off. It may just be the first few weeks of 2024, but that doesn't mean you can't start getting ready for summer. Two final things. Purchase your above-ground pool now and get first in line for installation, and take advantage of special financing that's available. Family Leisure, Whitten Road and I-40, bringing the family and the fun back together.
They say you can't pick the best barbecue in Memphis.
Who is they?
The people that say things.
Like what?
Well, that you can't pick the best barbecue in Memphis.
Well, that's ridiculous. It's Central Barbecue.
Well, I'm telling you, these people said that you can't even say Central Barbecue is the best barbecue in Memphis.
But it is. There's no better slow smoke, perfectly cooked barbecue in Memphis or anywhere else.
Look, I'm just saying that they say.
What else do they say?
Well, that the earth is flat.
You have got to get off of social media.
That's what they say as well.
It's leap year, so jump into big savings at Gossett Kia on the Pike. New 2024 Kia Forte LXS gets 41 MPG, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. How about 7-passenger seating? Get 2023 Kia Sorento LX, $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride LX, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease, and don't forget, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So call Bobby J to put you in a new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online anytime at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21,590. Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33,010. Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38,705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It does look a little bit better than it did earlier on 240 up through the Midtown area. Now we got that heavy traffic developing coming out of Midtown on 240 South, all the way down from South Parkway to Norris. It's running slow again this afternoon over here at times on 55 northbound between Macklemore and South Parkway. Starting to load up with a little bit more volume on 240 East up by Walnut Grove. Weimer's Jewelry, located at 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, it was a slow night in college basketball last night in terms of, the amount of games and in terms of the amount of top 25 teams playing last night. I think we only had 2 top 25 teams last night, North Carolina and Baylor, but a lot of really fun games. If you just, like college basketball, there were some really fun ones out there. First off, before we talk about any of the big games last night, shout out to Mississippi Valley State. Brett brought that up yesterday, Johnny. A team that was 0-27.
Yeah. We were rooting for them.
We were rooting for them. Last night was senior night for them, their last home game of the year, and they get the win over Prairie View A&M 57-51. So shout out to Mississippi Valley State for sure for getting their first win. But the 2 biggest games of the night had to be Miami versus North Carolina and Baylor versus TCU. I want to talk about the North Carolina game.
Okay, go ahead. It was a good one.
It was a really good one.
It was a real good one.
RJ Davis is just an incredible player.
Yeah.
I mean, he is unbelievable. Last night, he led the team with a career-high 42 points. And, Johnny, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you this. I won't give it away of why and all of the things that behind it. But that's my big number today. So in our next segment, when we go to big number, it's going to be 42. I'll just go out and say it.
Heads up.
Just heads up, because an unbelievable night for R.J. Davis.
He had an amazing night, though, for real.
42 points for him. The next closest scorer to him was Harrison Ingram, who scored 8 points in that game.
Wow, that's a tremendous drop-off.
So 42 points and then 8 points from Harrison Ingram. Armando Bacot had 5 but had 12 rebounds. Harrison Ingram also had 10 rebounds. And Cormac Ryan added 7. They only played 8 guys last night. Really only 7 guys. One guy got in for 7 minutes, so didn't play a ton. But it really feels like this North Carolina team, they've got a lot of really good players. A lot. I mean, I love this team. I really do. But it feels like this team kind of knows, if RJ's in his zone, if he's in his bag,
and he was.
Let him work. Don't get in his way. Just let him do his thing. And I mean, when you look at it, Cormac Ryan shot the ball 13 times. Harrison Ingram shot the ball 13 times. R.J. Davis shot the ball 22 times.
Where do you see
how efficient he was? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, no, never mind. I didn't want to cut you off. You done?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Where do you see R.J. going in the draft this upcoming?
I don't see him going in the draft. I mean, maybe second round. I don't see him as being a big NBA guy. I think I still have our mock draft pulled up. I can see if
because I don't remember him being in any of the lottery or anything like that.
No, he's certainly not up there.
But it was just amazing to see him have a night like that, man, because when he was on, he's on, man, and that's pretty amazing, man. And a guy, I honestly don't feel like he get a lot of run time in the media and different things like that, despite being from a big program like North Carolina,
right?
And the guys who North Carolina put out, but man, RJ had a really, really good night.
Yeah, no, it was an incredible night. They get the win 75-71 over Miami. Now, obviously, I think a lot of people coming in would say, "Oh man, North Carolina's got to beat Miami, by more than that. They only win by 4 points.
But it's college basketball, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bad Miami team, whatever. I mean, on the other side, a really good game from Miami. I mean, they shot 47% from 3.
Man, when you shooting like that, man, it's hard to stop somebody now.
I mean, shot 40% from the field, 47% from 3, about 70% from the free throw line, and just had a really good game from a lot of guys. And just you haven't had a lot of that this year for Miami, and that's kind of been where that biggest drop-off has been from them, being a Final Four team, coming back. A lot of people thought they were going to be able to recreate that this year, and it just hasn't worked out. But for North Carolina, I really like this team. 22-6 on the season. They're number 9 in the country. I think that I don't even know how to say it without, kind of going against my point because we're so late in the year. I think they have their starting lineup. I think every guy knows what their role is. I think they have
that's the best type of team.
Solid, identifiable roles, and those guys accept them. You look at RJ Davis. He's your scorer. He's go get a bucket. Elliot Cadeau, a true freshman point guard that was like certainly a top 15 guy in the class last year. A guy that you would think that highly rated would want to come in and be like, let me get my shots, let me put up. He gets to North Carolina, has the shooting slump, and basically says, that's okay. I might not be able to score the ball, but I'm going to facilitate, and I'm going to get guys open
he's for
looks.
sure is the playmaker of the group.
Yeah, and that's kind of what he's been. He's 3 for 5 last night from the field, but had 5 assists. You know?
That's his role.
Yeah, he knows his role. I think Armando Bacot is the guy who's got to be big inside. Feed it to him down low, but also I got to get
like
a
paint
rebound.
player.
Yeah,
he gives buckets in the paint.
Exactly, and then Harrison Ingram has played well, and I think is getting better the more acclimated he gets, but he's also doing the dirty work. He had 5 steals last night.
Yeah.
I mean, defensively,
I didn't know he had 5
steals. He's been really good. 10 rebounds for him as well. So he's kind of doing
that's a good
stuff.
night. That's a gritty guy.
Really gritty guy. And then Cormac Ryan, I think you want more of. He's a guy that came in you thought was going to be your 3-point shooter.
That is true.
That guy, and he just hasn't been that way. 1 for 9 from 3 last night.
Yeah.
But I think you get this team going, and you get
they can make a
clicking.
run.
You're not going to get 42 from RJ Davis every night.
No.
But I think if you can get this team going, they're good enough. There's a reason why some people said earlier this year they should be a number 1 seed. I think there's reason people have said that this team can make a run in March, and I think just a really fun team to watch.
What are the average of points or the amount of points needed from RJ? Do you think he need an average for them to get to where they need to be at, Brian?
That's a tough question because I think they have guys that even if he's not on, you can rely on.
I feel like RJ, correct me if I'm wrong, probably like that 15, 18,
I think,
18
I was gonna say
range.
about 20, so I think...
like trying to be fair, about 15, 18 points.
And that's hard to, ask of somebody, obviously, but I think...
But when you have a performance like that, you kind of, make it known.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm getting at,
He's just shown this year that, he's averaging 21 points per game.
Oh, snap.
It's like 21.7.
Dang, I lowballed him. I didn't know he was averaging that much.
So this is a guy that has shown I can go out there and get
a bucket.
These are his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games.
I need
42,
to pay more attention
12,
to North Carolina.
20, 19,
I didn't know.
25. You go a little further back, 22, 17, 28, 24, 36. So, this is a guy that any night can go out and easily get 20 points.
And I lowballed him. I didn't, because when you watch them play, it honestly don't feel like he getting that many buckets like
he's just
that.
so smooth.
Yeah, like how he play is
it just comes
it's
to him
good.
so
I
easy.
really like how his game is.
And an older guy, senior, smaller guard, and that I know Johnny Radio, we have this conversation a lot. He thinks that this team's too small. You've got RJ Davis is listed at 6 foot. Elliot Cadeau, I think, also listed at 6 foot, maybe even.
And again,
maybe
RJ don't
6'1".
look 6 foot though. He look like
Elliot
I was
Cadeau's
gonna give him
listed
about
at
6'2", 6'3".
So you've got a 6 footer, you've got 6'1", not
small,
a ton of size
man.
in the backcourt. But I really do like this North Carolina team. The other big game from last night, Baylor and TCU. Baylor 62-42 win over 62-54 win over TCU. I think this game was notable because these are both tournament teams. These are both teams that I think I wouldn't say are locks. TCU, I think, needs to win a couple more games to really solidify that. But 2 teams that have been playing well, 2 teams that right now are in the tournament. And for Baylor to go out and hold TCU to 54 points, defense has been a question mark for this Baylor team, really all season long. They've got the guys that can go out. Kind of a young team. Jacoby Walter was really good last night. He finished with 16 points. But they got Eves Missy, or Nisi, however they pronounce it. He had 16 and 5 last night. Those are 2 freshmen that have really stepped up and played really well for this team. But defensively, This team has struggled a little bit, and last night holding TCU to 33.3% from the field, 26% from three. I thought a really, really impressive game. I mean, completely obliterated them in the rebound category, 41-29. I thought a really impressive game for Baylor last night on the road against TCU. We know how hard it is to win these road games. We know how hard it is to win. I think TCU was even like a 2.5-point favorite. Yeah, TCU closed as a 2.5-point favorite, and Baylor goes out there and basically beats them by 20. I thought a extremely impressive performance from Baylor.
Yeah, it really was, man. One thing about it, the defense end, it really impressed me about Baylor. But like, what really I want to see from your standpoint, Brian, for the victory on that game, man. Who really impressed you the most? Both of these two teams are top teams. You know what I'm saying? Like what really was your biggest, your biggest, how can I word this? Your biggest, outlook of it? Like
my biggest takeaway or something.
Yeah, your biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I watch this Baylor team, and I come away every game just kind of falling in love with these with these freshmen.
Yeah, because they got a lot. Yeah,
they've got some really. I mean, Jacoby Walter, like I said, didn't have his best game. 4 for 13, did knock down 3 threes and really came alive. I think they said on the broadcast last night he had 12 points in the second half.
Oh, I didn't know.
Finished with 16. So if that's right, if I'm remembering it correctly, which I'm
that's
probably
big
not.
though. I didn't. Yeah, that's impressive.
To have a freshman step up like that on the road and score 12 points in the second half was huge. I really like Misi. I think he's a good player, kind of raw still, but I think a guy
still young, trying to get the groove of it.
That's a guy that will be a first rounder in the draft that I really like.
In this up and coming draft, yeah,
and so I think they just have some really good players. They have done a really nice job of mixing freshmen and those vets together, and so I've really liked that. But certainly my biggest takeaway last night was the defense. I mean
because the defense was crazy,
right? Because Baylor, at times this year,
because I didn't watch the whole game. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole game. But the defensive end, it was intense. Yeah. It was intense. How they were just picking up, man. I'm like, oh my goodness, man. Would you say, because by watching games like that, my mind was saying dang, their identity can be on the defensive end.
Sure.
Did you get the same feeling like their identity can be on the defensive end to lean to the offensive end? What do you think?
Yeah, no, certainly. And I think, Scott Drew, likes, these defensive-minded players, and I think he likes to have a really good defensive team. And so it certainly could be, but I do think, when you're starting, a couple of freshmen, it can be hard for them to, really get that defensive identity early. But I thought a really promising game for them. Some big games tonight on a Tuesday that I'm really excited about. Some ranked games. Kentucky, after that massive performance they had against Alabama over the weekend, put up 117 points. They're on the road tonight against Mississippi State. Right now, that line has been moving all day long.
Really? What is it looking like?
All day long. When I woke up this morning, I think it was at 3. During Johnny show's 3.5. Now it's 4.5. So
really, that's a leap now.
Everybody on Mississippi State. Mississippi State -4 right now.
Everybody for
at
State.
Home. Yeah, so surprising, but we know very hard to win on the road,
especially
in
that
basketball.
type of environment, man.
Kentucky has been really hit or miss this year. Some games they'll come out and look like one of the best teams in the country.
I love Kentucky, though.
And they're a fun team to watch. They really are.
I love Kentucky.
So that's going to be a big game tonight. That's on ESPN at 6 o'clock. Cincinnati-Houston will be fun. That one's also at 6 o'clock. And then about an hour after that, 7 o'clock, BYU at Kansas. That one's going to be on ESPN Plus, so you're gonna have to kind of go out and find it to watch it. You can't just flip on ESPN and watch that game. But for Kansas, Kevin McCullough is going to be out again for them. And there was a report that came out from the 247 site. Their beat reporter for Kansas's 247 page said that Bill Self said that they do not know if he'll be able to return this year, and that they're hoping he can return for the NCAA tournament. But it sounds like certainly for the regular season, we likely won't see Kevin McCullough. And this is a team that relies a ton on that starting five. They do not get a lot from their bench. I know Nick Timberlake has been a guy that has come in and gotten those minutes with McCullough injured. So it'll be interesting to see tonight. Kansas at home against a BYU team had spent a lot of time early in the season in the top 25. They're not in it anymore, but a team that has surprised a lot of people, kind of that analytic darling. I know they were super high in the net, super high in KenPom, so that could be a really fun game to watch as well tonight in college basketball. We'll kind of wrap back around to that at the end of the show when we beam. Maybe we'll be beaming to one of these games tonight, but should be a really fun night of watching college basketball tonight with some really, really important games for some of these teams as we get closer and closer to these conference tournaments and to the big one, the NCAA tournament. Well, we need to go ahead and get to a break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Most shoppers today fall into one of two categories. You could be like Dave, who settles for nothing but the finest.
I drive only European luxury sedans, wear the finest Italian leather shoes. My shirts are custom made, and I expect white glove service from those I do business with. I appreciate world-class brands, and at this point in my life, I just don't want to compromise on quality, no matter what I buy.
Or you might be like Steve, whose goal is to always get the best deal.
I'm frugal. I'm all about finding value. I want the best price, and I don't mind going out of my way to get it. I work hard for my money. I just want to make sure when I buy something, I can have confidence in knowing I'm not overpaying for it. Stop being cheap. It's being smart.
You never see these two guys in the same store, except for one.
That's why I shop at Genesis Diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds is that rare shopping experience where you can have it all. Uncompromising luxury and unbeatable value. Exceptional service and the guaranteed best price in America. A premium experience and a smart purchase. This is where the best of all worlds come together. Genesis Diamonds, Memphis's direct diamond importer at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
It's time to get thunderstruck during Gossett Mitsubishi's spring sales event at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Ready to get 43 MPG Highway? Check out the 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. We Gossett, 18610 or $249 a month. Need extra room? 7-passenger seating in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SE, 33605 or $399.99 a month. And Gossett Mitsubishi's got sophisticated styling and comfort in 2024 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, 31,200 or $449 a month. Plus, every Gossett Mitsubishi comes with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, and 24/7 at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Mirage RH005931 MSRP 19110, Outlander RZO 19512 MSRP 34605, Eclipse RZO 10625 MSRP 317, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit dealer stock only. All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE 722-812 MSRP 21590, Sorrento PG 242710 MSRP 33010, Telluride RG 462-822 MSRP 38705, includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff Allen, you ready to get this party started at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. Gossett's got your new Kia that gets 41 MPG Highway. 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $239 a month. $27.99 due at signing. Need extra room? How about a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX at $319 a month. $34.99 due at signing. And a 2024 Kia Telluride S all-wheel drive, $459 a month. $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease.
Plus, get peace of mind because with every Gossett Kia, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or online, KiaMountMoriah.com.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for for the ones who get it done.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy. Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, my big number, Johnny, I told you earlier, and shout out Doug texting in on the text line. I'm guessing a North Carolina fan. He's very excited. Says RJ comes back next year. I guess has another year as a senior.
That's real good for him.
Eligibility, so that would be huge. And he also said Ingram does it all. I love Harrison Ingram. I mean, just is a really, he was the one, I was telling you, 10 rebounds, 5 steals.
Yeah, gritty
for
player,
him.
man.
Really does a lot. But here's my big number today. I told it to you earlier, 42. North Carolina's RJ Davis had a career-high 42 points last night against Miami. Shout out to North Carolina's SID, Steve Kirshner, for these notes, all right? So stick with me because this is going to be a lot, and I'm going to move my computer so that I can make sure.
Okay, I'm ready, man.
In front of me.
Expectations are high.
Here is what 42 meant for RJ Davis in North Carolina last night. It is the 10th most points in any game by a Tar Heel. 42. It is a Smith Center record for points in any college game played in that arena. So whether it be a North Carolina game or not, and he said that's about over 560 games between North Carolina games and just NCAA tournament games, that sort of thing. 42 was a Smith Center record. It is the third most points by any North Carolina player in a ACC regular season game. His 7 threes that he made last night is the most made threes by a North Carolina player since Cole Anthony did it in 2020. With the 42 points, he moved into a tie for 10th place in career points all time at North Carolina. So, Johnny, you mentioned it earlier, all the great players that have come through North Carolina.
Yeah.
RJ Davis has now moved into 10th all-time in terms of scoring. He scored 56% of the points for North Carolina last night, which is the most percentage of points in a game by one player, 56%, since 1941. It's incredible.
That's amazing.
1941. It's also a school record for the largest gap between leading scorer and second leading scorer. It was 34 points. He had 42. I believe we said Harrison Ingram had 8th and was the second closest. So the 32 is the largest gap, the second largest gap in program history. It passed 33 that was set in 1957. So, I mean, that's a really long time. And then also the last time North Carolina won a game when only one player scored in double figures was in 2011.
Yo, good job. Good job, Brian.
A lot of really, really good numbers from
my number ain't going to be that.
from RJ Davis yesterday.
Man, my number ain't going to be that. But get this, though.
Okay.
Low number.
Okay.
But it shocked me today.
Okay.
Number 1.
All right, number 1.
Get this. ESPN put out a list. I don't know if you probably seen this, right? Of top quarterbacks of the 2000s.
Okay.
And
actually, I haven't seen it.
You haven't?
I've not.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is new to both of us then. It's not Tim Tebow. It's not Joe Burrow, man. It's not none of the
top college quarterbacks or?
Yes,
Okay.
top college
Okay, cool.
quarterbacks.
I thought
They
we were
did
talking NFL. I was
Nope.
like, of course, it's not Tim Tebow.
No. Top
Okay,
college
college
quarterbacks. They did a top 100.
Oh wow, 100 quarterbacks?
Yes,
Wow, holy
get
cow.
this. They did 100 quarterbacks,
Okay.
and it's not Tim Tebow. It's not Joe Burrow. Not
Newton.
No,
Really?
no, it's not. It's not Cam Newton.
Okay.
It's not RG3.
Okay.
Who? I'll give you one more time to guess.
Okay, of the 2000s.
Of the 2000, basically our whole lives.
Our life. I literally have no guess. I have no idea.
Man, it's not Kyler Murray. It's not nobody. It's Baker Mayfield.
Really?
Baker Mayfield.
There's no chance.
Hey,
I
man,
love Baker Mayfield.
If I'm lying, I'm flying, man. He came in at number one.
Who was
best.
number 2?
Let me open this up, man. Oh my goodness, Dakis.
80 quarterbacks in the
80.
100. Good lord,
Man,
no, still 80 is way too many.
Yeah, Bailey Zappi was 80 though. Get that?
Wow.
what a quarter.
See, I was gonna say Vince Young was gonna be my guess for number 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Let
He's
me.
number 3. I've got pulled up. 2 is Cam Newton. So okay, we'll do.
You was close, though.
We'll do top 5. Baker Mayfield number 1. I mean, Baker Mayfield was unbelievable. I think we forget.
He was.
I think we forget how good Baker Mayfield was in college because he was unbelievable. Number 2, Cam Newton, his year at Auburn. But it says it has everything from 2007 to 2010, but it says beside it really though just 2010. 3 Vince Young, 4 Tim Tebow, 5 Joe
So
Burrow.
it's just 2000s, like to 2010.
No. It's up until. It's just saying that like his whole career was 2007 to.
Okay.
But the big year that everyone knows him for is 2010. I mean that was his 1 year at Auburn where he had an incredible year. 5 Joe Burrow, 6 Deshaun Watson.
I thought
7
Joey
Kyler
B was
Murray,
gonna be number 1. To be honest,
8
man.
Lamar Jackson, 9 Marcus Mariota, RG3 number 10.
Really?
Johnny Manziel number 13. I'm kind of surprised he's that low.
If I want to be honest, the quarterbacks I have seen, the most excitable quarterback I ever seen, man, is Johnny Manziel.
Honestly. Now, obviously, I have
love for Baker, though, in
Sure.
college. Because when he planted that flag, man, he got some moments in college.
Now, I will say, my wheelhouse, I mean, I have more love for players from about 2010 to now.
I respect
because
it. I
that was
respect-
really
respect.
when I was watching more, but some of these names, kind of surprised how low they are and not in the top 10.
Johnny
but so
Manziel
many
is
great
13.
quarterbacks.
That's
many
crazy.
quarterbacks, though. So many great quarterbacks. Well, we are late for a break. We need to go ahead and grab that. And when we come back, we'll talk some more football. Maybe we'll get Bo's opinion on this. Obviously, he talks NFL with us, but definitely can get his thought on these college quarterbacks as well. So let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we're talking NFL with Bo Marchant.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town, open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garvin, the owner, created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Rack them up on 6 pool tables. Coldest beer in town, grab you a pool stick and get you some good bar grub. 100% Angus burgers, big and moist chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 6 p.m. with long neck domestics, 225 Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester.
eBay Motors is here for the ride.
120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better? I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, serving the official barbecue of the Memphis Grizzlies.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis. This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. I'm seeing a big slowdown develop here on 40 eastbound at Germantown Parkway. You got a lot of traffic volume headed out in that area right now towards Fayette County. Again, that's 40 eastbound here at Germantown Parkway. They're starting to hit the brakes. It's already heavy at times on 240 east up by Walnut Grove. They're working that wreck over on the other side on 240 westbound at Walnut Grove. Again, that's in its cleanup stages. Weiber's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. National Football League talk every Tuesday with Bo Marchant, covering the NFL Draft at collegetopro.com and the NFL Draft Bible, covering the Steelers for Sports Illustrated, living and running in Eastern Ohio, and on Twitter X at Bo Marchant. Here's Bo with Bryant and Brett.
Bo Marchant joins us every single Tuesday afternoon to talk the NFL, and I know for him, this is really his favorite time of the year, talking about scouting these players and all of the offseason madness. He is live in Indianapolis joining us today at the Combine. Bo, thanks so much for joining us. You're at the Combine. I know how excited you were for this week. What has been your biggest takeaway so far in the early days of the Combine?
Well, the guys get working out tomorrow. So, the DBs and some of these guys start going through the thing. So, today was interviews with coaches and GMs, and, you kind of get to shed some light. You really don't find out much. You kind of get the vanilla responses on any question asked. And, but nonetheless, it's the beginning of Combine week. You can start to see it starting to get busier and busier. And, I call it like the football circuit. If you could do the All-Star games and the draft and the Combine games, you kind of just see the familiar faces that you basically only see, kind of like Johnny. I'm going to probably see Johnny at the Senior Bowl every year.
Yeah.
That'll be my Johnny destination to see him. And that's what makes it fun, because you just want a quick hello. So but this part of it. But like I said, today was a great day. even if you don't write a story about every single GM or coach that goes through, I just think listening to those guys, I mean, because they are experts in their field and they bring a lot of observations. I thought Brian Callahan, the Tennessee coach, and it never occurred to me in this way he described it, because somebody asked about the running backs and Derrick Henry, and he said the position hasn't been diminished. He says the way it's labored is different. And when he said it, it was, instead of one guy, doing all the work, now there's several different guys doing the same job. And the way he explained it, I was like, that was one of the best explanations I've heard on something we talk about a lot. Everyone discusses it, but in such simple terms, it was, it's still a prominent position. It's still needed, but it's the way the labor, as he mentioned, is delivered. It just comes in a different form than what we're accustomed to.
Bo, that's a really great point, especially when you look at today's modern game. Like you, Brian, and Brad, we all watch the game, man. If you think about it, how they put in running backs, it's kind of like how they put in wide receivers now. They just rotate them all in and out, man. And everybody is always fresh. So I can for sure see how the game is really translating like that. But going into the combine, man, what event, because we all love these events. I personally love everything about it, about the combine especially. I love watching the DBs. But what position are you most looking forward to watch?
I got to say the quarterbacks, because it seems like a pretty, I know a couple of the top, I know that Williams and Daniels aren't throwing, but the rest of those guys, it's just an opportunity that, more reps for you and more of an opportunity to kind of, let these teams show you up close, see them up close. So, I'd say the quarterbacks. I think it's a decent class. It's we got some top heavy guys, and it's kind of a draft that you got a lot of different versions of different type of talent at the position. So I'm excited to see the guys throw, and it's not, it's probably a bad answer in terms of the workout because, we don't really care. They're not going to bench because they're quarterbacks, and we really don't care about what the vert is on a QB or how fast he runs. But nonetheless, there's a lot of, they're going to be on there doing the drills and trying to put the balls in the right places. So, their mechanics and all those things come into play. And then if we're going to just talk numbers, you got to love the receivers because those are usually the fastest guys. They compete with the DBs for the titles of all the crazy numbers that we're going to see unfold this week. So, but the receivers, you definitely got to put those at, I think, the top of the pedestal. One, because they're the most prolific offense position skill guys absent of the QB. And there's a lot of good ones in this class, too.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. Both said that they're not going to do anything at the Combine. They're not throwing or anything at the Combine. Is Drake May throwing? Have we heard anything about Drake May? And what do you think about these top quarterbacks, these top guys, and Marvin Harrison, another guy that said he's not going to do much at the Combine? What do you make of these top guys opting out of the on-field workouts?
Well, it's something we've become accustomed to. There might be a day and age where these guys don't even come to Indianapolis. It's everything's changing so rapidly. NIL, college football, the draft. They don't do weigh-ins anymore. Like everything just changes very rapidly. So, who says in 5 years? They're signed up for 2 more years in Indianapolis. So who knows? Maybe they'll bring it to Frisco, Texas. Maybe they'll make it a traveling tour. I don't know. There's going to be so many changing pieces as this thing progresses. But I think, the quarterbacks, I really am starting to like Jaden Daniels more and more. The more and more I watch him, the more I feel like he's the QB in this class. At least, when we're talking about May and Williams and Daniels, it just seems like he has that ceiling where, there's a lot there. And I love Drake May. I think he's a fantastic, and Caleb actually is probably my third guy.
Wow.
And I don't mean that in a negative third fashion. It's kind of like you won the race in 10 seconds. You won it in 9.9. You finished second in 9.999, and you were third in 9.998. Right. So it's not but I like Daniels. There's something about May, and I don't like doing that, and I know it sounds foolish. But, maybe Javonte Williams, and he's a good football player for the Broncos, the running back. He's the Tar Heels. But you got to go back to, Natrone Means. Maybe if you want to give the slight edge to Hakeem Nicks, the receiver. But, Tar Heels and offensive guys doesn't, Sam Howell, no. Mitchell Trubisky, no. So, when you think of the idea of offensive guys, skill guys from North Carolina, they never, ever pan out. So that's something to think about. That's why I'm hesitant to really put it all in on May. But you got to look at these guys as individuals, and but so that's why I kind of got to stick to my heart and think May could be a very good quarterback.
I'm curious, when you're at the Combine, and I'm sure it's a little bit of both, but do you come in with a list of guys that you want to make sure you see their workouts and make sure you're paying attention to what they're doing, or do you kind of just come in with a blank sheet and you're just looking at guys that stand out for you?
I don't really write down names. I mean, I might jot something down here or there, but I think that I just kind of know who I want to see.
Right.
And to be honest with you, Brian, what I really like to do is I wish they actually had masks on, or they would, blank out their I really don't want to know who they are when they're running fast. I don't want to know who they are when they're doing the drills, because I think we get caught up in the hype of, this is Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Watch him throw the ball, and all the analysts are going to just, they're going to give them all the love in the world. And sometimes, they're another quarterback's throwing and they're not actually showing it because they're showing highlights of Patrick Mahomes.
That's a good point.
So I really, I kind of, and I do that when I scout games. I mean, you know who the major guys are. You go to a football game and you start doing your notes. I mean, you know who these guys are. But I just kind of like taking the notes. I'll just write down the numbers, and then, certain guys you are going to know. But for the rest of them, I just go off the play. I shouldn't know I have to watch number 8.
Right.
Number 8 should be a guy that I notice because he's doing that well. That's how I kind of look at it. So I kind of stick to the same thing with the Combine. You know who you want to see, but nonetheless, I just kind of like seeing the workouts, and I mean, you know who they are, but nonetheless, that's part of the thing I like about it is just the unknown.
Right.
Bo, also, man, I got a question. What player in this up-and-coming draft do you really feel that can make an impact for your Pittsburgh Steelers? What's a player who can make an impact, man, coming in day one?
Well, I mean, Zach Frazier, the West Virginia center. I mean, just because, they released Mason Cole, so you just instantly think they're going to, go center in the first round. So maybe that could be a guy. Maybe some of the defensive backs, Nate Wiggins, Quentin Mitchell from Toledo, somebody to pair with, somebody to pair opposite of Joey Porter. So Edrin Cooper, inside linebacker, he could be a first-round guy, maybe a little early for 20. But, again, you come here to Indy and you post some crazy numbers, it does move the needle. So he's a guy that I think, that inside linebacker spot. And they had Quan Alexander, Cole Holcomb, and Landon Roberts, fantastic guys, fantastic players, veterans. All of them got hurt last year. So if they want to kind of go in a different direction, and I wouldn't rule out the quarterbacks, Michael Penance, the J.J. McCarthy, I find that highly, highly unlikely that they would do that. But, I think O-line, I think even a receiver, Deontay Johnson will probably be a free agent next year. Maybe they snag a Brian Thomas out of LSU. So I know I gave you a lot of names, but you know why? Because I just think there's a lot of different variables the Steelers could go in where you could say, hey, you know what, they're not in dire needs of one specific thing. But and I shouldn't say it's not a luxury where they're at, but they're not in a dire strait yet at quarterback. They have options, and the other positions they're relatively deep and have some talent. So maybe they can just, if they're fortunate, maybe just take the best guy off the board.
Yeah. Talking to Bo Marchionte. He joins us every single week to talk the NFL. And this week, he's up at the NFL Combine as a lot of coaches and GMs talking today, and we'll get more of the on-field work and that sort of stuff later in the week. You mentioned a couple guys that you heard speak earlier today. One of the quotes I saw on social media that really stood out to me was new Falcons head coach Raheem Morris talking about the team's quarterback situation, said, quote, "If we had better quarterback play, I probably would not be standing here at this podium." I know we've talked about the Falcons and this quarterback position a lot throughout the season and even this offseason, but what do you ultimately think Atlanta does at quarterback? They're at the 8th spot right now in the draft. Do you think they go into the draft and try to get one of these guys to fall to them, or do you think they make a trade and bring in a quarterback?
I would think they might go with a veteran presence. I don't know if they want to go with the rookie, especially, I don't know if I think they would have to move up. And I think there's that gap between the three that we mentioned earlier in the show, May, Daniels, and Williams. And then, you got Penix and Nix and McCarthy. It just seems like those guys are too high for number 8.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of in a conundrum there where, you're at 8, you're kind of stuck in the middle. You're not high enough, but you're not low enough. And the veterans, there should be, there's a lot of veterans out there that they can kind of, sample size and get their delve into. And then we'll know this when the time comes. I mean, just hypothetically, if they don't trade for Justin Fields and they don't get Kirk Cousins, they don't make a pursue off of Russell Wilson, they don't get a Ryan Tannehill. All right, well then they're going to go into the draft and they're going to have a plan. Yeah. And we saw it last year with the Bears and the Panthers. I mean, somebody might fall in love with Caleb Williams, and maybe the Bears are hesitant that they don't want to trade Justin Fields. These are the things that you really don't know what these teams are thinking internally. So, if the Falcons think, hey, this is the guy, we have to get him. Who knows? Maybe they move up, and you have a team in Chicago. I think they picked 9. So if they did that play, then Chicago would have back-to-back picks 8 and 9. So you get yourself a tackle and maybe a couple tackles, and you can get yourself a Romy Dunze, the Washington receiver. It's a nice pull, and because if you feel comfortable with Fields, then you look very very smart. But the whole case for that is the Falcons are going to move up, and hypothetically in that situation the Bears are sticking with Fields. So that's the fun of it. We could do this show for the next 10 hours and have every different scenario known to man. And I promise you this one, guys. All the scenarios for the next 10 hours that we try to break down and describe, the one that we don't mention will be the one that comes to fruition on draft night.
Yeah. That's right. And Bo, let's talk about this with the Bears. A lot of people are projecting them to get Caleb Williams, and I completely understand he's an elite talent. But also with them trying to trade away Justin Fields, so like how much trade value do you think Justin Fields got when they making it? Because a lot of teams, this, Bo, when every team know that you're trying to trade somebody, they try to lowball you. So like, what do you think his trade value will be?
Well, I right now, and I might sound foolish, and I really don't know what the market would be. Maybe a late 1 or a 2. The thing is, if a team is going to invest, you kind of got to pick up the 5th-year option. So I don't see a team giving up a 2 just to have a guy for you're not going to pick up the 5th year. So that's where I think it's you really have to feel like you can get the most out of Justin Fields. And I personally think because Chicago, the city of Chicago, from what I hear, is so divided, just say 50-50, we want him, the other 50 don't want him. I just think it's that much harder for him because, just if he starts out 0-2, he has a couple of bad games, it's just going to be an uproar in the city. I think if he has a fresh start, one, he knows the team that traded for him wants him. So that's already the plus. You're going to a city, and they're going to be excited because they want something new because they're not – if they bring him in, just hypothetically, they don't want Desmond Ridder. So they're going to be loving life they got Justin Fields. So, and then on the flip side, if Chicago, you're Brian Poles and Matt Eberflus, you're kind of buying yourself some time. You're like, hey, you can't fire us. We just took Caleb Williams. So, the brass in Chicago buy themselves some time, and Justin Fields gets a fresh start somewhere where I don't think there's a 50-50 debate on if they like him or not. And at least for a year or early in the season, he's going to be a darling.
Mm-hmm. Well, while a lot of the talk going on right now is about the Combine, we still got free agency coming up, a lot of news there, and kind of the biggest story right now is what happens with Chris Jones. Chief GM Brett Veach said that re-signing Chris Jones is at the top of the team's to-do list. Do you see Chris Jones being a Chief next year, or do you think with kind of the price tag that would come with him that he can maybe see a different team in the future?
It's going to be about money. It's going to be about him maybe eating a little humble pie and saying, hey, you want to try to win 3 in a row? And how much is enough? Go, fine, take an extra $6 million and you're playing for the Chargers. I don't know. You can play for the New England Patriots, the Steelers. It's just you're not playing for the Chiefs. You're not back-to-back champions. So I think it's just the money thing, and it's just money. If they can find a price, then Chris Jones is going to return, and if they feel at his career that it's just too much money, then it's just the business. That's the business side of it. I think he wants to stay. You know they want him to
Sure,
stay. It's
absolutely.
a perfect fit. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be, does the dollars make sense? And if the dollars make sense, then they can agree on a contract. And it might be the same thing he did last, just a one-year deal. Not that he's old or washed up by any stretch of the imagination, but, they're not going to give him some, long-term big money contract. And if they do, they're going to have opt-out years where they, try to get some dead money off it. So at least that's what I think. I hope he stays. I think he's a great fit there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I definitely hope he stays. Another kind of story, it sounds like we could get a one way or the other with Russell Wilson in the next couple of weeks. We know that they decided to sit him to try to avoid injury at the end of last season. Sean Payton kind of coming in, and Russell Wilson was already there. What do you think ultimately happens with Russell Wilson? I know we were talking about kind of veteran quarterbacks a minute ago, but with not Deshaun Watson, with Russell Wilson, what do you think happens next season or going into next season?
Yeah, I don't think he's a Bronco, and however that plays out, he's not going to be the starter in Denver anymore. And and these are the things you think you kind of know how this all works out, but there seems always there's new scenarios on what a team can do and when they can release them and what they could get. So it's just they're not going to keep them; they're going to release them, and they're going to owe him that money, and he's going to sign somewhere else. And I still think he's a starting quarterback. At least, right. I mean, a lot of people I've talked to down here don't ever imagine him starting again, which I find that kind of I think that's kind of a foolish statement. I mean, look at the quarterbacks that we've seen play last year, and we're talking about Russell Wilson can't start again. So I mean, I just say, hey, listen. I mean, is he the guy that was in his peak at Seattle? No, but no. I mean, you're trying to talk that he's unstartable. There's 31 of them. I just find that a little bit crazy, but. I still think there's a market for Russell Wilson. I really do. And if you really break down the play last year, he wasn't that guy, and it doesn't look good because they sat him, but that was a money thing. So, and you can't fault him. I mean, if the radio station guaranteed you guys $500 million by the end of the year, they're like, well, we're not going to put you on the air for the rest of the year, but you're going to still get your $500 million.
Hey,
you're
not?
like, fine.
That's
well,
right.
you know what? You're not going to hear Brian or Johnny or Brett till 2025,
right.
but you guys are going to be $500 million richer. So, I mean, anybody out there, you would all do it. I would all do it. Nobody's going to take less when you're talking that kind of money.
Absolutely.
And you could go sign somewhere else.
Yeah.
Bo, I have a question. This was reported 37 minutes ago. Concerning the draft and Caleb Williams from NBC Sports in Chicago. Williams, they talking about him going to Chicago, right? There have been unfounded speculation that Williams is we all know he's a Washington D.C. native, and he would prefer not to play for the Bears and could instead try to play for the Washington Commanders, which is his hometown. So what do you think about that, man? Because we seen this before with Eli Manning not wanting to go to the Chargers and different teams like that. What do you think about that, Bo? Him not wanting to go to Chicago?
Well, that's a tricky one. I mean, one, he doesn't have an agent, I believe.
No, he don't. He doesn't. He doesn't have an agent. He doesn't.
Usually stuff's the agent saying it, so you don't have an agent saying that. So that had to come from somewhere. Who knows if it comes from Caleb Williams or not? Because if you don't have an agent, I don't know, marketers, but you're kind of your own voice. You're the guy defending yourself. So, I don't know where the source came from, and you guys said that broke 37 minutes ago. So, I besides if that's his decision or if that's true, then we have a whole other debate on, and then you got to think about Washington. Chicago, kind of like when the Chargers took Eli Manning. He said, "I'm not going to San Diego." But the Chargers took him anyways, and eventually they made the deal to Giants at 4. Maybe you see something like that where the Bears take them and they elect to drop down maybe with New England or Washington down the spot. But that's a tricky move.
Yeah.
But you can like I mentioned earlier, it's these guys guys are more prone to push the narrative and not kind of just be so selective on where they're going to go. might not make it fun for us, but it is these guys' careers. I mean, I'm not a fan of it, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Sure, tricky situation for sure. Well, Bo, enjoy this week in Indianapolis for the Combine. I know you're looking forward to seeing all of these guys, get their drills in and get in front of all of these scouts. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week when we'll be, recapping what happened on the field at Indianapolis.
I love it. Hey, you guys have a fantastic week and stay safe.
Thanks, Bo. Right back at you. Bo Marchant joins us every single week to talk the NFL. Always so much fun talking with Bo. Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
They say you can't pick the best barbecue in Memphis.
Who is they?
The people that say things.
Like what?
Well, that you can't pick the best barbecue in Memphis.
Well, that's ridiculous. It's Central Barbecue.
Well, I'm telling you, these people said that you can't even say Central Barbecue is the best barbecue in Memphis.
But it is. There's no better slow smoke, perfectly cooked barbecue in Memphis or anywhere else.
Look, I'm just saying that they say.
What else did they say?
Well, that the earth is flat.
You have got to get off of social media.
That's what they say as well.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
When a cold keeps you up, try NyQuil Severe Honey Flavor. The nighttime, sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold medicine. Powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste to give your body the rest it needs to get that cold gone. Wake up refreshed, feeling relieved after enjoying the delicious flavor of NyQuil Severe Honey. NyQuil Severe Honey Flavor, use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
It's leap year, so jump into big savings at Gossett Kia on the Pike. New 2024 Kia Forte LXS gets 41 MPG, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. How about 7-passenger seating? Get 2023 Kia Sorento LX, $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride LX, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease, and don't forget, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So call Bobby J to put you in a new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online anytime at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21,590. Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33,010. Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38,705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Sports 56 traffic.
It remains pretty slow on 40 eastbound, trying to get out past Germantown Parkway. We've had a pretty good slowdown we've had to deal with for the last 20-25 minutes out in that area. Again, extra time headed towards Fayette County. We've got still some slow traffic at times over here on 40 East up by Sycamore View Road. It's building out of the Midtown area even more on 40 East, especially over here at Chelsea. 40 West is increasing with volume across the bridge back over into West Memphis. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Johnny with you on this Tuesday afternoon. We got about 30 minutes left in today's show. As always, we're in our Family Leisure studios. No Brett today. He'll be back on Thursday. A couple personal days for him. But we need to talk about what's trending and a handful of things to get to, or that I want to get to. in this segment. But I do want to start off with some basketball news. I don't know whether to call it college basketball or NBA news, but I think yesterday, let's see, today's Tuesday, so yesterday was Monday. I think it was yesterday. A new mock draft came out.
Okay.
And on ESPN, I believe. And it was a big deal because this was the first mock draft that did not have Bronny James' name in it.
Okay.
I guess I shouldn't say that. It was a 2025 mock draft that came out.
Yeah.
So a way too early mock draft. Cooper Flagg, number 1. He's still in high school before going to Duke next year. And in that first round, it had Bronny James. And
Really?
so that told a lot of people, okay, ESPN does not see Bronny James as a number 1 as a draft pick this year. They see him going in 2025. Well, LeBron James was asked about it last night, and his response was basically, we don't look at mock drafts. We don't pay attention to it. At the end of the day, he's going to play hard. He's going to get better. He's going to work to get better every day and, be the best player he can be, and just let the kid be a kid. And a lot of people I've seen have taken issue with this because, Johnny, LeBron James, to most people, was the person that was pushing for LeBron James to be a first-round pick, to be this guy that a lot of people look at as a draft prospect. And guy that he says, LeBron James has said he wants to play with before he retires. I just don't see an issue with what LeBron said last night.
I don't see no issue with what LeBron said either. Bro, there's so many expectations for this kid at this point, man. And to be honest, he won't. Let's just be honest. Bronny is how tall? Like 6'1", 6'2"?
Yeah.
Bronny's 6'2", and how he's looking like right now, man, he's not there to be at that caliber right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
Bronny James, man, one thing about Bronny, he can play defense. He's a spot-up shooter, so his game...
Oh, you are shorting Bronny James.
He's 6'3"?
He's 6'4".
6'4"?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see.
Him a couple inches.
We'll see that, bro. No way, man. I don't believe that. They add height, man. But when he get to the NBA, his real height is going to be on display. That man is no way. I believe he's 6'4". No way. But, okay, let's say he's 6'4". He's 6'4". He can play defense, and he's a 3-and-D player, man. So his game translates to the league. He's just not seasoned yet, man. There's not enough film on him, man. And just let him be him, man. At the end of the day, he gonna get an opportunity to play with LeBron, like it or not. So yeah. That's what it is, man.
No, you're right, and I think here's the thing, and I've said this. Excuse me, I've said this for a while, and I get choked up thinking about it, and just got choked up right there. I mean, good Lord. But first off, I do not fault LeBron James for being a massive supporter of his son.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You can't.
That's
you
great.
Can't.
And I'm sure LeBron James does want to play with his son. LeBron James never said, I want to play with Bronny James in the 2024-25 season.
Yeah.
He just said, before I retire, I want to play with my son. And I think a lot of people viewed that and said, okay, well, LeBron's getting older. He doesn't have that many more years on him. Bronny goes one and done.
Yeah.
Ends up, they play together. But even before Bronny James, unfortunately, had his cardiac arrest episode.
Yeah, that really held him back,
before
too.
the season. Well, even before that, I never thought he would be a draft pick this year.
I didn't think he was one and done. I'm not just being honest.
Now, maybe, obviously, he is very different because he has the name Bronny James. And I'm sure if he came out, had a fine season, you could convince somebody to take him in the second round, have him, sign him to a two-way contract, and, maybe then you can get LeBron James to come to your team. But, this is a guy that was, barely top 50. I don't remember. I think maybe low 30s.
He was, if I'm not mistaken, bro.
I can look up where he was.
Yeah. Look that up. But, Bryant, nothing against Bronny James, man. I swear there's nothing against him. He's the type of guy who needs about 2 to 3 years in college, man.
Well, and that's my point.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody thinks just because he's LeBron's son, he should be
Right.
a first-round pick, first overall. That's not him. I'm sorry, he's not that guy.
So he was 28th, and I think moved up a little bit towards the end because I think he had a good kind of summer or good spring. But so he was 28th. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. 28th in the country. I want to go back and look at guys around 28 in previous recruiting classes because I think that will help us kind of look at what these guys. So, okay, he was class 2023. Let's go class of 2022. The number 28 player in the country was... Oh, wow, I forgot about this. It is the guy that had cardiac arrest for USC the year before. So it's one of his teammates. Was 28 in the country and is still there. Returned this year, obviously with cardiac arrest. So that's not fair. That's not fair.
That's not fair. Go to another year, Brian.
Let's go.
Do 2020.
Jaden Bradley was 27. So we'll just go up one spot. Jaden Bradley was 27. He goes to Alabama, has a good year. But guess what? He's now at Arizona.
That's what I'm
playing
saying.
For Arizona. So
give another example,
he
Brian.
Needed, he obviously needs more than 1 year. 2021. Hopefully we don't have any more cardiac arrest episodes.
Yeah, we don't need that
to look through. 28, Bryce McGowan's, who played a couple seasons at Nebraska.
Yeah.
And then went to the draft and was really good, or is having a good start to his career with the Hornets, right? So he's with the Hornets now.
Yeah.
So I think this is a guy that I'm sorry, Bryce McGowan's only played one season before getting drafted. But I think this is a guy that we should not be shocked that he's not a one and done. We should not, especially with the cardiac arrest that happened. That sets you back a little bit. And it's okay for a player to need a couple of years. I do not think Bronny James is a bad player. I actually think he's a good player. I think he's a good piece for this USC team, even though this USC team is really bad. But I think he can still get to the NBA. I just don't think we should hate on him for not being a one and done. I don't think we should put the pressure on him to be a one and done.
It's unfair.
I don't think his father did that, but I also don't blame his father for wanting to support his son and saying that he's better than other guards in the NBA.
That had him hot.
He did, but he's his father.
But that's his dad. That's his dad.
So it didn't. I know,
if I had a son, I think he can do anything.
I know a lot of people this morning on television had issue with it. I know we talked about it earlier.
Really, they had a lot of issue with them
people
being.
Were saying, I don't know why LeBron James is saying this because he's the one that was trying to force the issue.
People don't pay attention to content because like he said, you quoted it, Brian, and you're right. He said he want to play with Bron. He didn't say it was going to be this year.
Right.
He didn't. Who knows if he's going to declare next year and he go out in the first round or second round. There's nothing wrong with guys needing a couple of years. There was even some guys who didn't feel Bronny James was an All-American.
Right.
If we want to be honest, there's been a lot of things with Bronny James that people was unsure about just because they didn't know if he was getting this because his dad or because his talent.
Right.
He is very talented. He's just a guy who needs more development, and there's nothing wrong with it. I just feel like it's unfair to put all-time great status and pressure on a guy who's still trying to develop. He's still young. He recovering off a cardiac heart arrest. Like that's a lot to recover from in a year, man.
Sure. And so I'm hopefully I'm hoping for the best for him, but I don't think we need to get caught up in all of the Bronny James needs to be a first rounder stuff. I do want to stick with the NBA. Golden State Warriors, they're in action tonight. They lost their last game to the Denver Nuggets, but they are back in action tonight on the road against the Washington Wizards, and Chris Paul will be making his return from injury tonight against the Warriors.
And you know something else, Brian?
What's that?
Jordan Poole will be on the bench.
Well, that's a good point. Jordan Poole will be on the other side. We know how Draymond Green feels about
He's probably
Jordan Poole.
You know what Draymond probably saying? You chose to be on the bench with the Washington Wizards instead of us. Is it?
I don't know how much of it was his choice. I think,
that boy, man. Ugh.
Yeah,
just a situation.
So I don't know. Maybe Draymond's calling the NBA office and saying, "Look, I know y'all have told me that if I pull anything again, that I'm gonna get suspended again. Yada yada. Just give me,
He might risk it all. He might just risk it all.
Throw this one out. This one is not really me. But this Warriors team, Brett has said it in the past of, look out for this team. They're getting healthy.
Very dangerous.
They could be a very dangerous team, and you look at what they've done kind of in these recent games. They beat, they went on the road, beat Brooklyn, went on the road, beat the 76ers. So that's 2, 3 wins, 4 wins, 5 wins. Lost at home to the Clippers by 5 points. That's a really good Clippers team. Then after that, 3-game winning streak, Jazz, Lakers. That Lakers game was that first game back from the All-Star break. And then a win over the Hornets before losing that last game to the Nuggets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Last 10 games, they're 8-2. So they're playing good basketball right now. Going to get Chris Paul back, getting healthy, and now you get the Wizards tonight. Then you go to New York to play the Knicks at the Raptors, and then the really big game at the Celtics. Are you worried about, I guess worried isn't the right word. Do you think this Warriors team, because we've heard all the stuff of, this dynasty's over, they're not the same team, we're seeing the climb, the last leg of this, Draymond can't stay on the court because he's getting suspended.
Clay's on the bench right now, right?
He's coming off the bench, even though it looked unbelievable in his first game off the bench, but had like 36 points.
That's good though,
like
man.
That.
He probably need it.
Steph is gonna Steph, he's gonna be that great player, but do you trust all these pieces around him? Do you think this Warriors team can make a push in the playoffs this year?
I think, Brian, I feel like they are very dangerous, especially when you really think about the team, man. Okay, we got Clay coming off the bench along with CP3, man. 2 starters, 2 all-NBA players coming off the bench against other people's second unit.
Yeah.
And man, along with, and then not even talking about Gary Payton Jr. or the second, he go by the second, but not even counting Gary Payton. Like that team got a lot of deep value on their bench as well. Not saying they're not gonna go like 10 or whatever man deep. They might go 8 man deep, but that's a deep bench to go into in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So like the Warriors, they always gonna be dangerous because they got Steph.
Yeah.
They got Steph. They got Draymond. Draymond, like him or not, he's a great player to have on your team. There was times in the past when he played against Denver, he did a real good job against Jokic. So like this team is dangerous in many ways, and don't let them really get it together, man.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it could be a really dangerous thing. Last thing I want to get to very quickly before we have to get to our final break. We've mentioned it earlier. I think it was either your top or not top story of the day, but what happened last night in New York between the Pistons and the Knicks. Detroit, obviously a team that has lacked a lot of wins this year. They're up by 1 in the final seconds inside Madison Square Garden. The Pistons get a steal. And I think it was Asor Thompson gets the steal. He's trying to get down to the other end of the court. He runs in. Him and Dante DiVincenzo collide with each other. The ball goes out of bounds. They give the ball to the Knicks. But honestly, the way it looked, and it was right in front of an official.
Yes, that's what makes it so crazy.
I mean, it seems like that is always called a foul when you've got kind of a player.
It was a loose ball foul.
Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo is just kind of falling into Asor Thompson while Thompson's trying to maintain possession and get down the court. Looked like an obvious foul. They end up giving the Knicks the ball. The Knicks end up winning that game. And after the game, I'm reading this from The Athletic. After the game, referee James Washington
he showed it.
Told pool reporters that the refs missed the call.
They missed it, and it was
a
bad.
Foul should have been whistled. And obviously, that doesn't do anything for the Pistons unless they try to go out and protest the result of the game. But
it's over.
That hasn't worked very well in the past. And then
there've been a lot of missed calls this year.
Right. What do you do then? I do think this would be one that if they did protest, I would probably side with them, and I think you go back and play that at a later date. You play that last 2 seconds or whatever. That's 5 seconds. Whatever. I don't know how you would do it, but it was just very interesting. After the game, they're talking, and obviously everyone is upset, and Monty Williams super upset after the game. He sat down. This is what he had to say. Quote, "Where's the New York media now? The absolute worst call of the season. No call, and enough's enough. We've done it the right way. We've called the league. We've sent in clips. We're sick of hearing the same stuff over and over again. We had a chance to win the game, and the guy dove into Asor's legs, and there was no call. That's an abomination." I'm 100% with him.
Hey, I agree, too, because, to be honest, he could have got hurt.
He could
have got hurt. And also, Brian, there have been some terrible calls. Monty Williams talked about this. And also, what's the Kings coach? His name is escaping me. Mike Brown. Mm-hmm. Mike Brown. He took a computer and brought it to his press conference and breaking down it, Brian. So there have been a lot of missed calls by these officials and these referees. Mm-hmm. People going to say it's just the Pistons being the Pistons and they're going to find a way to lose. But that's egregious. That's a terrible call.
No, I'm with you. I think it was a really bad call. And, for this Pistons team, you feel so bad for them because they just have struggled all year long.
They can't do nothing right.
They have that super long losing streak. And, that would have been a huge win at Madison Square Garden over the Knicks and just can't get it done. That's rough stuff.
And, man, the thing is, I honestly feel the Detroit Pistons got some good young talent on their team.
Absolutely do.
That's why I'm just so confused about them, man. They got Asar Thompson. He can be a guy to make all defensive and be a defensive player of the year. How talented he is on the defensive end, and it's just they're young, and I don't know what it is. They need some vets. They need some guys who can really bring them together. Cause they got Jalen Duren, if I'm not mistaken. He's 20 years old or 19. He's still
20,
he's still young. They got some young guys. And Asar Thompson, he is very young. I think he's 21. Like, this whole team, if they're on that list with us and OKC being one of the youngest teams in the NBA.
Absolutely. And so that was kind of the thing of, where do you go with this team when they were, in the middle of that really long losing streak? Well, we need to get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Women here in Memphis are wearing bigger, better quality diamonds and some amazing designer rings thanks to the arrival of Genesis Diamonds. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis came on the scene here last year and shook up the jewelry world big time with rock-bottom prices on diamonds, a selection that's like 20 times ordinary stores, designer rings you can't find anywhere else, and guarantees and warranties that are the strongest in America. A relaxed, no-pressure, laid-back experience with no commission salespeople. Everybody here is loving what Genesis is doing. Whether you want a lab-grown diamond or a natural diamond, Genesis will easily beat anyone else's price. The owner is a former diamond wholesaler, and Genesis has cornered the market on the world's most acclaimed designer rings. They have all the top 10 designers in the bridal world, thousands of handcrafted rings made by the premier designers. For whatever special occasion you have coming up, don't go to the old-fashioned stores for the same old, same old. Discover the store that's raised the bar in quality, selection, and value. Prepare to be blown away. Genesis Diamonds on Poplar at Perkins Extended.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous. A legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE 722-812, MSRP 21590. Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33010. Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff Allen, you ready to get this party started at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. Gossett's got your new Kia that gets 41 MPG highway. 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $239 a month. $27.99 due at signing. Need extra room? How about a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX at $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing, and a 2024 Kia Telluride S all-wheel drive, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing, all 36-month lease.
Plus, get peace of mind because with every Gossett Kia, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or online, KiaMountMoriah.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is Geraldo. It is crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins. It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Johnny, what I learned today, a couple of things. I learned that we'll be seeing Chris Paul again for the Warriors tonight in his return after injury. So that'll be fun to see. But what I also learned is we talked to Bo Marchant a little bit earlier about the NFL Combine. And a story coming out at The Athletic, USC's Caleb Williams, LSU's Jaden Daniels, and North Carolina's Drake May have all reportedly made the decision not to throw at this year's Combine.
It makes sense.
It does make sense, but it is interesting.
That's how it's going to start being.
All 3 of those guys not going to throw, so we'll see a lot of Michael Penix. We'll see a lot of J.J. McCarthy.
That's good for them, though.
We'll see a lot of Joe Milton, I know, will throw this weekend.
Joe Milton needs it, man. He needs it.
Spencer Rattler, I'm guessing, will also be there.
Spencer going to do it,
Yeah, so it still should be a fun weekend for quarterbacks, but definitely those top 3 guys going to be missed.
Yes, man. What I learned today, man, Shohei Ohtani, he hit a home run today, man, in the spring game today, man. So it was just cool to see, man. And Brian, I'm trying to follow baseball more, and I'm trying to see what's going on in the MLB world and Major League Baseball. And just to see that, man, he already making an impact, for the Dodgers, man. And they're really looking like a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, what I could have done without, I think, some of the things we heard today from the NFL Combine, from coaches, I think.
That makes sense,
Most notably, Chicago. It sounds like they don't even know what they're going to do with
They
that
don't.
pick, which is not hard to believe because of where
What's going on.
We're only at the Combine. This is where a lot of the scouts see these players and start making those decisions. But when you've got a guy like Caleb Williams that I think a lot of people have been saying for a couple years now, hands down, number one pick, great quarterback, best quarterback. But then you got a guy like Justin Fields. How much do you trust Justin Fields?
Yeah.
If you can get some weapons around him, get that offensive line shirt up. Do you trust that he could, because, that was a guy that was a high pick out of college and a great college player. Do you want to get rid of that guy and go for another young quarterback and try to start that process over? Then again, what do you do with him if you do decide to trade him? So a lot of decisions
that's a lot, man.
With the Bears, and
making
we'll
some great
see
points.
which way they go. It looks like they'll go and draft Caleb Williams, but now, like you said earlier, it sounds like Caleb Williams might want to go home and play for
and that threw a wrench in everything, man.
Absolutely.
And man, one thing I could have done with that, I'm gonna be short and sweet, man. What happened with Cam Newton, man? Cam Newton, he hosted a camp and everything, and it was just sad to see that he's trying to help the community, help Atlanta, Georgia, and really put on a camp for the youth. And they over here jumped the man. And it was just sad to see that when you're trying to help the youth, trying to give back to the community, and that's also why a lot of athletes don't give back to the community because of stuff like that, man. So that's one thing I could have done without.
Yeah, I hated to see that. I'm going to beam tonight to this Kentucky and Mississippi State game. We mentioned it earlier. Should be a really, really fun game. Right now, Mississippi State, a 4.5-point favorite at home over Kentucky that put up all of those points over Alabama over the weekend. Where are you beaming tonight?
Man, I'm beaming to the thing the whole NBA been promoting. Draymond and Jordan Poole, man, part 2, man. I'm looking forward to fight night tonight, man.
Yeah,
even though Jordan Poole coming off the bench.
That's right. Well, it should be a fun night. A lot of NBA games tonight, a lot of college basketball games highlighted for sure by Kentucky, Mississippi State. Number 1, Houston also in action later tonight. Number 7, Kansas. And we get Vandy, Arkansas, a little local flair there later tonight. But that's all the time we have. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Head on over to Frontier Western Store for their most anticipated event of the year, the famous February sale. It's your golden opportunity to save big on an extensive range of boots and apparel. Discover huge discounts on Carhartt. Dive into a selection of clearance shirts available up to 40% off alongside coats/30% off. There are limited time exclusive deals on select Ariat shirts and jackets too, with fresh items joining the clearance racks weekly throughout the month. But that's not all. Frontier's Boots Room is brimming with markdowns too. Hundreds of discounted boots and shoes from Rocky, Durango, Twisted X, and Ariat, all priced to move as Frontier makes way for their exciting new spring collection. Whether you want stylish dress footwear or durable work boots, now's the time to stop by Frontier and snag your next pair. Oh, and all Hey Dude shoes are now part of the sale also, and those will go quick. So don't miss out on the famous February sale at Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
It's time to get thunderstruck during Gossett Mitsubishi's spring sales event at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Ready to get 43 MPG Highway? Check out the 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. We Gossett, 18,610 or $249 a month. Need extra room? 7-passenger seating in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander SE, 33,605 or $399.99 a month. And Gossett Mitsubishi's got sophisticated styling and comfort